Yes, I'm Batman.
I'm Batman. I'm Batman, Alfred.
I'm Batman.
I am Batman.
I'm Batman. I'm Batman.
Greetings, Bat Family. Welcome back to Holy BatCast, brought to you by Real Fans for Real Movies. Make sure to visit our website, holybatcast.com. It's got everything you need for Holy BatCast, but you can also find us all over the internet on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search for Holy BatCast. And if you love the show, we are also on Patreon. You can go to patreon.com/holybatcast if you want to help keep the show rolling. We do this for the love of it. We work hard on it, and every bit of support we get from our patrons does make a huge difference. And so I got to give a little shout out to our newest patron, Daniel Bryan Nava. Hey, Daniel Bryan, thank you so much for being part of the family. We really appreciate it. You're part of our Bat family. So, like, if I'm Batman and Brendan's Batgirl, and Jamie is Alfred because he's old and grumpy, you can be our Red Hood. I hope you're not as cranky as the Red Hood, but whatever. Anyway, Daniel Bryan, thank you so much. We do appreciate it. And again, if anybody would like to do that, you can do that on patreon.com/holybatcast. We are part of the Real Fans Podcast Network, so if you want to check out some of the other shows that we do, or even if it's not me, it's Jamie, or it's some of our friends, you can check those out at rf4rm.com. And then, as always, I am your host, Andy DiGenova. Hi, you can follow me on Instagram and on Twitter. It's just my name, Andy DiGenova. Now, this episode, we are going to finally get around to looking at, in detail, Crisis on Infinite Earths, the 5-part CW crossover event that was so big that it crossed over years. It started in 2019 and didn't end until 2020. That's how epic it was. And joining me is our favorite little Bat Koala. So he's not really Batgirl, he's Bat Koala, which makes him more like Batmite, I think. Anyway, it's Brendan Lowe. Hey, Brendan.
I could be Gleek.
You could, but not yet.
No. I'm surprised you didn't cast me as Robin, because I was sure you'd want to see me in tight tights and, pixie boots.
I mean, I've seen that.
That's true. But they were private photos. So.
I've got the photos. So if you ever cross me, mister, you look out. That shit's going all over sitting on our rings page. No, it's good to have you back. It's been literally days.
It's been less than 48 hours.
Is it really? I guess you're right. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm going to release this a few days later. I'm going to let people rest. I don't want, too much of a good thing. I don't want people to get sick of us.
That's what happens when, you have to do an emergency episode because a new Batsuit's been released.
It's part of the job. It's, I guess, I don't know if it'd be a fringe benefit. It's just, but, you're going to cover Batman. We're going to talk about Batman. If we get a new look at Batman, drop everything.
Yeah.
Go into work late. I went into work late. And they were like, where have you been? And I was like, new Batman. And they went, oh, we got it. Got it. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Actually, nobody asked me where I was. Doesn't matter. but if they did, I would have felt comfortable going, it was a new Batsuit. Have you met me? Have you seen the tattoo? Come on. The tattoo, by the way, it's almost like a brand new tattoo. I got it refreshed a couple weeks ago.
Being upgraded.
It's upgraded. Did I share with you what it looks like?
I think I know you put a post up when it was getting refreshed. I have
not
seen the finished product, though.
Yeah, I haven't shared the finished product because I was waiting for it to heal a little bit. But I think it's about there. It's about ready. So now I can share like the before and after, and you'll see like world of difference.
Nice. I look forward to it.
Yeah, I guess this is the version of like renewing your vows, but for Batman. Anyway, we talked a little bit about Crisis. When was that? month
About
ago.
a month ago.
Yeah, a month ago.
Roughly, yeah.
It was when part 4 aired, and we got that glimpse of Ezra Miller. I don't even worry about saying that's a spoiler because everybody knows about it. We talked about that, but we were like, oh, we do want to talk about the entire event in more detail when the time comes. And now that Birds of Prey is out, and we were able to review that, and now that we got a new Batsuit, and we talked about that, we're finally circling back around to talk about Crisis on Infinite Earths. That's what I'm trying to say. So hopefully by now that gave everyone a little bit of chance to catch up on it. It is readily available. Yeah. Like, it's on the CW app for free. At least it was last week. I assume it's still there. So hopefully by now people have watched it or will now know to watch it so we can talk about it as friends.
Yes.
Well, okay. Let's do that. Great. Good plan.
I'm excited to be a part of it.
I love this plan. All right, so without further ado, why don't we take a look back at the 2019/2020 CW crossover Crisis on Infinite Earths. This is the first 5-parter, right? I feel like last year it was only a 3-parter for Elseworlds.
Yeah, and I think the biggest one they'd done prior to that, I can't remember if Crisis on Earth X or Invasion, I think they might have been 4 each.
That sounds right. Yeah. At least on Earth X, that felt like it was, I think, 4-parter. But Invasion might have only been 3, because at that point, were there even as many shows? I can't even remember.
I'm pretty sure Invasion had everyone.
Okay. It's been a while since I've revisited it. I do wish they would just release them as movies, but someone asked that, and I want to say it was Mark Guggenheim said, it's a contractual thing. Putting it all together and like releasing it as one movie is a legal nightmare, and so we just can't be bothered. Do
you guys get the individual releases in the States, though? Because over here...
If so, I have not seen them.
Because over here we get, I don't think they release them on Blu-ray. I think they just do it on DVD. But they actually have the Crisis as a the crossovers as standalone DVDs that you can purchase. I don't think they're woven all together like in movie form. I think it's still like episodes, 1, 2, 3 or whatever. Yeah. But you can buy them as a standalone purchase.
Yeah, I'm not sure if we get them like that. If we do, I haven't seen it. So.
Okay. It only started with Invasion.
Okay.
Because it was the first big one. Otherwise, it was just kind of like Flash and Arrow.
Yeah.
But yeah, it started with that, and then I only bought Elseworlds because I've got them on my shelf. I don't think I've watched any of them in the DVD form. But I only bought Elseworlds a couple of days ago because I was in the store and it was on a bit of a sale, so I picked it up cheap.
Nice. No, I think that's great. I wish they would do that because, I get it. Like, yes, because it's part of a TV show, like, each one needs its own credits because people need to be credited according to their contracts and union rules and blah, 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 blah. So I guess that's why it can't just be released as a movie, even though that would be nice. If I was more ambitious and had more time on my hands, I could just do it myself, but I'm not gonna do that. But even so, like, going back to rewatch this for this episode, it was one of those where I was like, I can't remember what was first. And so I like clicked on like The Flash and I was like, nope, wasn't The Flash. Okay, which one was it? Oh, Supergirl. Yep. Okay, Supergirl was part 1. And so I kept having to like, find the next one because I couldn't remember the order. So it's a first world problem. It's the ultimate first world problem. But I was just like, oh, damn it, which one's next? So if they were all together in like a nice little pack of just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that would be so nice.
The way I consume these shows is similar to the way that you send me the VHS copies of Titans and Harley.
Oh.
So what I do is I have the original video of every episode, and they go into the cabinet with all the other videos of that specific series. But then I make a duplicate copy of each of the videos of the crossovers and put them in a separate file and just label them as episodes 1, 2, 3, 4, etc.
Got it.
So yeah, I don't have that problem.
Okay, well, look at you. That's the perk of having
videos.
VHS tapes.
You can write, on those labels with Nico and stuff.
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
exactly what happens.
I purchased them with money on iTunes, and so then I just have to go and find them.
Yeah. I purchase them all with money when they become available to buy over here on DVD or Blu-ray.
Great. Cool. Well, again, 5 parts. The first one was Supergirl. That one aired on December 18th of 2019. Then the second part was Batwoman a night later on December 9th. Part 3 was The Flash, December 10th. And then everybody took a break for Christmas and New Year's. And then they came back and did part 4. That was Arrow on January 14th. And then part 5 wrapped it all up, Legends of Tomorrow, also on January 14th. So we got a double feature that night. So those are your 5 parts. It is the ultimate crossover. There is almost everyone in the current continuity, not to mention a bunch of people who aren't in the current continuity, and we'll get into all of that. But we'll start spoiler-free, I guess. Spoiler-free overall thoughts on how we felt about this crossover event. And then I will give a spoiler warning just as a courtesy because, we're going to spoil the shit out of it because there's a lot to spoil. But again, it's a month old now. So I think you guys should be good and up to date, but I'll still put the warning out there just in case. So Brendan, I know you talked about it a little bit on the Nightlight. You don't have to plug it. I'll do it for you.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. So if you guys listened to the Nightlight and you already heard Brendan's thoughts, you can just tap out now. I don't mind. You've already downloaded this episode. You're good. Like, go on with your day. You're fine. Go do something productive. Go start a band. But anyway, so yeah, Brendan, overall, spoiler-free thoughts on Crisis.
I like it. I was saying to you before we started recording, like, even though I only watched this, literally the last 3 episodes, within the hour, I finished watching the last episode. It's a lot. There's a lot to take in and a lot to consume and break down, and it can be a little bit overwhelming at times. I don't know if I'd still rank it as my favorite crossover, but what they did is a hell of an achievement. I can't think of any other TV series, if that's the plural, that have combined to do something of this scale and that has ramifications not only for each individual series, but in some ways every live action DC content that we've ever consumed for the most part. I don't think that this will have any impact on, say, a Flash movie or any of the DC movies themselves moving forward, but what it did can't be understated. It was a hell of an achievement, and they pulled it off really, really well. And it was a nice way to, I guess, spoiler, to say goodbye to someone very important. And yeah, it was a hell of an achievement. It's really the best way to sum it up, I think.
Mm-hmm. I think that, I agree with almost all of that. I don't think it's my favorite crossover. I really like it, and there's a lot to like in it. But I think it's a little messier than the other crossovers just because of how many plates they were spinning here. Mm-hmm. They were just trying to do so much with everyone and trying to give everyone something to do, not to mention bringing in the other Earths and getting us glimpses of those. And some of them are involved not very much. Some are very involved. There's just a lot to do here, which is why it's a 5-parter. And I think that some of it gets a little messy along the way. So I think something like Invasion or even Crisis on Earth X was a little more streamlined, and I appreciated that.
I think that's still my favorite. I really like Earth X. I thought it was a great crossover.
Yeah, it was really good. But you're right. It's so ambitious, and it is really entertaining. It is really fun. They did a very admirable job with making this Crisis story and telling it within the pre-existing Arrowverse, if that's what we'll call it, or whatever, the CW DC universe. while still paying
It's
homage.
the Arrowverse.
Yeah, while still paying homage to a lot of other different versions of DC characters from the past. So yeah, there's a lot to love about it. I do think that some of the story was a little, and I think I might have mentioned it before, was a little gobbledygooky, where they just were kind of like, oh, like the quantum difference of this wormhole, blah, 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 blah.
That's stuff that loses me a lot. I just like to watch them all team up and do cool
Yeah,
shit.
like that stuff, I'm like, I don't know if it makes sense. I have a hunch it doesn't, but you kind of just have to go with it. But there was so much of that in this crossover that I almost was like, okay, like, are these really just shortcuts to get us to the next thing? Because I don't know if it works. But so I'm willing to go with it at a certain level, and then at a certain point, I'm like, I feel like you're using it as a crutch of just throwing out a bunch of science-y words and going, yeah, it's fine, don't worry about it. So that was one of the drawbacks I had. I think I said to you when we first watched it, is it did to me feel very, I don't know if disjointed isn't the right word. It just felt, I don't know. It didn't flow as well as I wanted it to on initial viewing. I guess let's put it that way, because I did watch them all separately as they were being released. But then since then, I have watched them all in order, and it does flow a lot better. And I do think the story comes together a lot nicer when you watch it. I mean, it's a lot to watch straight through. It's a time commitment, but I do think that the story works a little bit better that way, because there is so much going on that even having one or two night break between episodes, you're already doing a little bit of catch up and going, wait, what happened there? And so, go ahead.
And because it is so much to take in, like I was saying, I mean, when I first watched it with those couple, a night in between each of the first 3 episodes, rewatching it the last 2 days, which is literally the first time I've watched it since they aired, I was picking up on stuff, like quite a few things. I was like, oh shit, I totally missed that the first time I watched it. Yeah. Or I didn't realize what was said in, as sort of a throwaway line in this episode would have ramifications, say, in the last episode and stuff like that. I totally missed it.
Yeah, exactly. And it's packed because there's so much happening. And you're right. Like some of that stuff, some of those connections, you don't even notice when there are gaps between watching the different episodes. And so I do think that, yes, it does benefit from watching it all together, or at least over 2 nights like you did. But yeah, I think that, they do a lot of justice to the characters we already love. I really, really did have a good time with it. I liked a lot of the surprises along the way, and we'll talk about those too. So I think it's really good. I don't think they completely nailed it, 100%, but is a really impressive and ambitious crossover. And I've had a really good time. I had a really good time watching it the first time, and I was telling you before we started recording, I've revisited it a couple of times, not even on purpose, but just because I kept hanging out with people who hadn't seen it, so we ended up watching it again.
And you're the DC guy.
And yeah, so of course I'm like, yeah, okay. So like Scotty, who I do Why Not Futurama with, like he's, I came back to the States and he goes, oh, I haven't watched Crisis yet. And I was like, all right, well, let's watch Crisis. And so we sat down and we watched it in one night.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then, and then we did a little weekend away, and my friend Paula, she likes all the CW stuff, and she's like, oh, I never got around to watching Crisis. And so we put it on again. And then I watched it again before we recorded this because it still had been a little while and I wanted to be as fresh as possible. So, it's a really good time, and there's a lot to like here and a lot of stuff happening. So, for those of you who are DC fans, I'm sure a lot of it's already been spoiled. A lot of it got spoiled before we even saw it because they were so excited about hyping it up that they kept saying, oh, we just, Burt Ward's going to show up, guys. Good news, Burt Ward's going to be coming. And so a lot of those little surprises weren't really surprises by the time we saw the show. But they still held back enough that there were somewhere when, oh, I didn't know he was going to be here, or I didn't know she was going to be here. So they held back some, but I think a lot of the big ones we already knew about going in. But we'll talk about all that stuff. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. It is a good time. I would recommend watching it. picking it up, especially if you're a DC fan. There's just so much DC stuff here. Just, oh man, from all the existing shows, and then again, like surprises from everything else. So check it out. But I want us to be able to speak freely. So the spoiler warning is now officially in effect. So if you are concerned about spoilers, now would be the time to go check out Crisis on Infinite Earths and come back. So, as I said, this all started with an episode of Supergirl that aired on December 8th. And when it kicked off with like this, the whole premise of the Infinite Earths. And over the past few weeks, I started to try reading the Crisis on Infinite Earths book. But I didn't get too far into it. So I haven't finished it. I can't speak to how much is similar and how much is different. I was surprised at how much was similar just from as far as I did get, which was interesting. But the way it started with the voiceover of the Monitor speaking of like, oh, at first there was black and then the infinitude and blah, 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 whatever that was. That is like right from the book.
Oh, wow. See, I've never read Crisis. It's just one of those things, I think it would probably lose me. Yeah. I think I'd be kind of confused reading something like that, because you know what I'm like when stuff gets really sci-fi, and plus that continuity's like before my time of reading comics and stuff. So
yeah, I had forgotten I had bought it, and then after watching it a couple times, I was like, oh, I should start reading this, and I did start. I just didn't finish it. So there were just certain elements certain elements in the crossover that I thought were a little odd, that then once I read the book, I was like, oh, it's because they were still trying to do as much of the book as they could. So the idea of, oh God, what the hell's his name? From The Flash. His name is completely escaping me, and I'm so embarrassed. He's always the new version of,
Nash
Wells, yeah.
Yeah.
What the hell is the actor's name? My brain is blanking.
Oh, Christ, you've got me now as well. Yeah.
Oh my God. But yes, Wells. So the fact that like Wells becomes Pariah, I was like, that's weird. And that's because in the book there is a character of Pariah, and so that's how they made that work in the show.
Tom Cavanaugh.
Yeah, there you go, Tom Cavanaugh. So yes, the fact that he becomes Pariah, I was like, why is this here? But it's because in the book there is a character named Pariah who basically is there to bear witness. And the fact that Harbinger plays such a big role, that also is because she plays a big role in the book. So there was a lot of things a lot of stuff that I was impressed that they tried to be as faithful to the book as they could. Again, I can't speak to all of them. A better comic book fan than I would be able to do that. But I had just started reading it. But again, my point is this whole prologue where they're setting up the Infinite Earths, that at least that verbiage and that explanation did come directly from the book. But it is a great intro into the crossover. I like when they say, and then the Age of Heroes was born, and we get almost like a highlight reel of all the CW shows and all the cool stuff that they've been doing over the past 8 years? Since Arrow premiered?
2012 or 13, Arrow started.
Wow.
I think it was 2012.
Okay. Yeah, so, yeesh, that's insanity, but okay. And then we got our first batch of cameos. So, we got to call out Alexander Knox from Batman 89. Yep. Which is awesome. So that one hadn't been spoiled, but I wasn't surprised.
No, I loved it. As soon as I heard the music, I was like, wait, what?
Right. And yeah, Earth 89, Natch.
Of course.
And I love that on the newspaper, the picture of Batman is the drawing from the Batman 89 comic book adaptation.
Yes, that's something I missed the first time I watched it.
Oh, man, so good. And he looks up at the bat signal and goes, oh, I hope you're paying attention, big guy. And it was a good way of giving a nod to Batman 89, knowing that you're not going to get Michael Keaton or Jack Nicholson or Kim Basinger.
No.
But Knox will show up.
Of course he will.
Of course he will. So I thought that was great. Here's my nerdy complaint, though, is the bat signal is obviously the Batwoman.
Yep.
It's the
That was what I was
Batwoman
gonna
one.
say too.
I was like, come on, like you couldn't have CG'd a Batman 89 bat signal.
I mean, it's a different Earth. It's not going to be the same bat symbol as what Batwoman's is. But anyway,
I know. That's
we
a
got
nerdy
Knox,
nitpicky
we got Knox,
thing.
and we got the Elfman theme. Like, let's look at the positives.
Yeah. Oh, totally. But I was just, it was just so obvious. But yeah, that was a great nod. We did see the Ray from Earth X,
Yep.
which was cool. He didn't get to play a bigger part in the crossover, but I like that he was there. I thought that was cool. We got the Titans just for a quick shot, and it was Hawk and it was Jason Todd, and
Yes.
apparently nobody told them.
Oh, really?
That's what I had seen. Like, I feel like on Twitter, the people from Titans were like, "Yep, we didn't know, but great." And then we did get Burt Ward walking a dog, of course, because you know that like in his retirement, his big thing is he works with dogs. And so yeah, he gets the Holy Crimson Skies of Death.
Love the jumper.
Yes, it's great. And apparently there was a version of that in a comic book at some point.
Oh, really?
Of the sweater he was wearing. Apparently that came from some comic book where they had drawn Burt Ward.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah,
I had
which is
no
interesting.
idea.
And even then you got like the 66 theme. So when this started and you get like the red wave, the Crimson Skies of Death, I didn't take it to mean that all the Earths were being destroyed already.
Oh.
I just thought it was like, oh, they all see that something is coming. I didn't think that it actually had destroyed them. And then as you get through and you go, oh, okay, no, I guess they had.
Yeah. I always took it as that.
I didn't. I just was like, oh no, it's just showing that this thing is coming to all the Earths. I didn't realize it was already wiping them out, which did bother me at first because I was like, oh, I guess that's it. Like we're not going to see those guys again.
Well, see, that's the thing. I will say, when the first 3 episodes aired, like with the 2 that were coming like a month later, there was a lot of talk of like, oh, I hope this person comes back and teams up with this person, and Tom Welling needs to come back. In the whole time, I'm kind of like, no, I'm pretty sure all those set photos that we saw,
that's it.
That's their scene. Like
yes,
they're literally just little nods to all the other iterations of characters. They're not going to play a major hand. Like that's going to be our main cast. It's for the fans. It's fan service. So just enjoy what we've got. We've got Burt Ward playing Dick Grayson in live action in 2019. I mean,
yeah,
I don't care how long it is for. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And I never expected Burt Ward to be on the adventure with everyone else. Of course not.
No.
So no, I did think that. I went, oh, okay, that's their cameo. But I thought, and then again, before we got the conclusion, those Earths were wiped out. And I do remember after that first night, like, people went, oh, well, so I guess Titans is canceled because they just destroyed the Earth. And then, of course, like now, we're over the spoiler wall. At the end, when they respawn the universe or whatever they say.
It's a rebirth.
Yeah. Essentially all the Earths do get rebirthed. And so even though they don't show them all at the end, you just have to assume that they all did respawn, including Earth 66 and Earth 89.
Yeah.
You have to assume that they were all rebirthed at that point. But when they did it, they made sure to show Titans again to go, no, like, okay, they're back.
They showed Swamp Thing.
And they showed Swamp Thing, which I think was more of just a respectful nod. I don't want to read too much into it. I would love to. But I think it was more just like, hey, it canceled or not, it's out there, and we want to make sure that he's included. And Derek Mears, who plays Swamp Thing, he even shared something being like, oh, I was so honored that they put us in there. Which was nice. But what was so interesting, not to jump to the end, but whatever, is that when, at the beginning they showed them all, or they showed some of them, and at the end they showed some of the same, some different. But like Titans, the Earth number was the same. And I can't remember what it was, but it was the same number. And then the same thing with like the Brandon Routh Superman Earth, when that respawned at the end, it was the same Earth number as when you meet him earlier.
It's 96, yeah.
Yeah. But when they rebirthed them, they put Doom Patrol on a different Earth.
Different Earth, yes, they did.
It was like they were like, oh, we don't want them to cross over with Titans anymore, so let's put them on a different Earth. Which I thought was weird. Because why? Because why? Like, it was so funny because like the whole point of the whole thing was like, let's bring it all together and make it more cohesive and streamlined. And they're like, yeah, we'll do that for the CW shows, but we're going to split up the other ones.
Like, I don't know if we would have anything to do with the HBO thing, or I don't know.
Maybe it was just it was just a weird choice to me. Like, I love that Doom Patrol was in there, but it was just weird that they decided that was now going to be on a different Earth.
Yeah, we'll see what ramifications it has actually for the show moving forward. But I mean, it's the kind of thing I don't think they're going to, like those DC Universe shows, I don't know if they're going to cross over anyway, really.
They might not, but I feel like you always want the option.
Yeah, because wasn't the quote unquote crossover on Titans, wasn't that more like a backdoor pilot for Doom Patrol anyway?
Yeah. That episode. Yeah. So anyway, for my own headcanon, it makes me like at the end I've got to also believe that that Earth 89 and Earth 66 also respawned with everything else, because I want to believe they're still out there somewhere.
Yeah.
I don't want to believe that was the end of Dick Grayson or that was the end of 89. I'm
sure they are.
So anyway, but this is what happens, and then that sets up the whole thing. So the Supergirl episode is very much set on Supergirl's Earth, which is Earth 38, right?
Yeah. Just quickly, speaking of cameos, there's one that happens after that opening credit sequence that I think everyone seemed to have forgotten about, which
Will
is
Wheaton?
Will Wheaton showing
Will
up.
Wheaton.
Yeah.
Well, it's so easy to forget since it's the very, very first thing.
And it also follows, like, you know...
Yeah.
Burt Ward and Alexander Knox and all this other stuff.
Right. So, yeah, it's kind of fun that Will Wheaton is in there. But, yeah, I mean, this episode is the one that feels most within the show that it's a part of, which is Supergirl.
Yes.
Because it's actually set on Supergirl's Earth. The rest of them all, it just becomes the crossover, but this one still feels sort of like a Supergirl episode because it's at the DEO. There's a whole subplot where Lena has to team up with Alex, and they're doing some gobbledygooky portal.
Yes, to get everyone off that Earth.
Yeah, where it's just like science talk. Oh man, I can't reverse the polarity. Science talk. Hey, have you tried Brendan Lowe's theorem? Oh, good thinking. Let me try that. You know, like.
You don't want to know how I came up with that theorem, too.
Oh, I have a hunch. So yeah, like it's a little more focused on the Supergirl universe, but yeah, like, so, you know, we kind of get the introduction to everything. Harbinger goes and plucks all the different heroes that she needs and brings them all to Supergirl's Earth, because this is where they're sort of making their last stand. And this tower appears, and like basically the tower is the Monitor's attempt to counter effect what the Anti-Monitor's wave of death.
Yeah.
And so basically it comes down to protect the tower.
Uh-huh.
Which I think is like it's a very video game simplified way of like, how do we stop this wave of antimatter? Just protect the tower.
Yeah, it's like the protect the flag game in the playground.
Exactly. Fight off the wraiths, protect the tower. And so that's really what it comes down to. But like, again, like here, there's a lot going on because Clark and Lois send off Jonathan in like a escape pod, and then it gets sucked up into a wormhole and ends up on a different Earth in the future where Old Man Ollie is like caught it. And so a couple of them have to go trying to chase down Jonathan while the other ones are trying to protect the tower. Like, so again, like there's a lot happening here. But because yeah, like that whole thing of like going to find Jonathan, like I just feel like it didn't really serve a huge purpose.
Not really. But it gave them something to do. Yeah,
I guess so. So, but and I did like the scene where Sarah Lance. And I will say, I mean, Sarah Lance is already my favorite of all these shows, which is ironic in shows that include The Flash and Green Arrow and, The Atom and all these classic characters, that somehow Sarah Lance is my favorite. But I love her anyway. But like, I feel like she really becomes the heart of this entire crossover.
She kind of does, yeah.
She really does. Like, they make her the paragon of destiny, but I'd call her the paragon of heart, because she's holding everyone together. So there is a really great scene of her with old Oliver, where old Oliver, like, in this version, he's like never forgiven himself for letting her die. And she's like, hey, like, I got on that boat of my own free will. It was my choice. And if I hadn't made that choice, I wouldn't be saving lives, and I wouldn't be doing this, and I wouldn't have become what I am. And you can't blame yourself. I was the one who did it. And it was just, I don't know, it was a really nice like moment of closure for those two characters, even though it was a different Oliver. And I don't know if I guess I don't play enough in the CW fandom. Like, have people had an issue of like that? Of like, oh, how is it that Ollie's never been punished for Sarah's death or something? I don't know. But it almost felt like...
really.
I wouldn't think so, but it almost just felt like they were like, hey, like, we didn't forget about this, but it's okay,
Yeah, it's a lot of seasons of television to try and remember. I'm sure it would have been addressed at some point, like between, Detective Lance and Sarah and Laurel and Ollie. Someone will probably tweet and say when it exactly happened, but yeah, I can't remember 100%. But I mean...
But I think, because we knew this was going to be the goodbye for Oliver, which fittingly so, they wanted that. It was like they wanted that moment to be like, you know what, Sarah has her piece with what happened between her and Oliver.
Yeah, and I mean, spoilers kind of for the final episode of Arrow that aired a couple of weeks ago. There's a lot of that where it's, people making peace with Oliver and what had happened in the past, and, certain people post-crisis, certain people that were dead, well and truly in Arrow have returned, and yeah, it's all about that, really. They all sort of have their moments with Oliver and everything, so this is a way of doing it with Sarah.
Yeah, and I love that, and I also love that throughout the entire crossover, Sarah really is that heart for Oliver. And
which I'm happy about too, because with what's her face who plays Felicity not really being in the final season of Arrow, I think, it's Sarah who's with Oliver when he dies.
Yeah. Both times.
Both times. She's really played as not his love interest, but you know what I mean. Like she's really important, and she's in all the key scenes with Oliver. Whereas if Felicity had been in the last season of Arrow, and I'm kind of glad she wasn't, because it gave Sarah this opportunity in the crossover, I do worry that it would have been her that was with Oliver at those times.
Mm-hmm. Oh, totally. And I think it would have been easy to do that. It would have been easy to make it Felicity, or to make it someone else, to make it Barry. And they certainly let Oliver and Barry have some really nice moments too.
As well, yeah.
Yeah, but like
it started with them.
It was so, like, the Sarah and Oliver thing, I feel like is so far in the past now, it would have been easy to forget it or to not give it its due. Mm-hmm. And they didn't. Like, they remembered how important those two people were to each other. And so Sarah was there with Ollie the whole time.
Well, in season 2, Sarah and Ollie had a lot of sex.
Oh, that's true. And like even before Ollie sacrifices himself, there's a moment, he has a grown daughter now, which I have not watched Arrow in 2 or 3 seasons, so I was like, okay, he's got a grown daughter now. I don't know what the hell.
I don't like Mia. They've sort of been trying to shove Mia down our throat for like the last season and a bit, because of, I think they knew Amel was leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're from the future, and they got brought into the normal timeline in Arrow. So it was her, Ollie's son, who we'd met from, previous seasons of Arrow, and Diggle and, what's his name? Wild Dog's kids. They all come back to the normal timeline.
Okay.
Yeah, it's sort of when they stopped doing the flashbacks, and then they had a season of nothing, and then I think it was the last season of Arrow, they started doing flash forwards, which I'm not a big fan of Mia.
Yeah, I just figured, I went, okay, somehow she's from the future. I just assumed that, and I'm like, whatever. I don't have time to care. Like,
No.
And so I just kind of accepted it as it was. But again, there's a nice moment where Sarah's like, hey, never pictured you as a fatherly type, but it looks good on you. And like, the history with those two characters is really played up. And for her being that person who's there with him throughout and through the end and fighting to bring him back. And it's just really, really great stuff. And then there's a really great scene towards the end. I don't remember if it's episode 4 or 5, where she has a great conversation with Barry.
Yes.
And those are two characters you haven't seen interact too much. Like, they both are very much connected to Oliver, but you didn't see them do too much together. And that was a really nice scene of her being like, you know what? Oliver was the last person who was a connection to who I was before I got on that boat. And like, now that he's gone, it does feel like there's a piece of me that's gone too, that there's nobody left that has that connection. And it's just a really great scene between the two of them. They're both really great actors. They're both so charming. And I just really like that too.
Yeah, Katie Lotz is pretty awesome.
She's the best. I love her. For all the reasons. I just love her. Oh man. So yeah, they like really, really cool stuff with Sarah and Oliver. We did get some fun superhero nerdy goodness of them protecting the tower. I liked Batwoman and the Atom's interaction, Ray, where he's like, "Oh, I could upgrade that for you," and and at first she's not having it. She says something about like depends how attached you are to your hand or something.
I love how over the years Ray's become like, because he started off quite serious in Arrow.
Yeah.
And I love how in Legends he's sort of become like the real nerdy, almost comic relief, in a lot of ways. And he's great in that show. It's going to be sad when he leaves whenever that's happening.
He's so good. And yeah, you're right. I wouldn't even call him comic relief because he's never a joke, but he just has this like enthusiasm.
He's charming.
That's so charming.
In a funny way, like you just laugh so much at his enthusiasm. He's not trying to make a joke. He's just generally sweet and funny.
Yeah, I agree. So you did get to see kind of the first big battle with most of the heroes as they were protecting this tower. And again, so then Batwoman he allows she allows him to mess with her Batarang and there's a pretty cool moment there.
Yeah, it's when they're fighting off the Harry Potter Dementors.
Yep. Listen, Harry Potter does not have a patent on cloaked death-like figures, okay? That came way before Harry Potter. J.K. Rowling stole as much as she created. So there's some neat like superhero-y stuff in there, which I really liked. And Superman and Supergirl, some really cool stuff too. I did like the moment where he was going after Jonathan, and I think it was Oliver who was like, listen, like, I get it, it's your kid, I get it, but we need you. Like, if you leave, this earth is doomed. And so like that's a tough call, I can imagine. So I liked those little character moments. I think those were all really, really done.
Because it was Lois and Lois, Sarah, and did Mia go as well with them to try and get the baby? I can't remember.
I think so. It was definitely Lois and Sarah, but maybe it was Mia too. So yeah, but what it comes down to is, they're trying to evacuate the Earth. They basically decide like, listen, we can't stop this antimatter wave, but we can get as many people off the Earth as possible, and that's why Alex and Lena are trying to create this portal to. And
Brainy gives over the keys to the Legion ship.
Yes, yeah, So they're evacuating, and basically at this point, they're trying to do is buy time. So the more time they buy, the more people can get evacuated. And at a certain point, it's kind of the end of the line, and Monitor shows up and he zaps everyone away, and except for Oliver. And I love this one because, he had made the deal with him last year at the crossover of he was going to die so that Barry and Kara could live. And he's like, Oliver, it's time. And he goes, has everybody been evacuated? And he goes, no. He goes, then it's not time. Which I thought was awesome. I thought that was great. And if this had truly been the death of Oliver, I would have been okay with it because it was a very heroic way to go out.
Yeah.
Of him literally just fighting to the death because every moment meant more lives were saved.
All that really was, I mean, we all went into the crossover knowing Ollie was gone and, knowing that Arrow was ending and this was going to be it for Stephen Amell in the role. All it really was for us, the viewers, who expected it to happen at the very end, to go, oh, shit.
Wait, we're doing this? We're doing this now?
They pulled the trigger really early, which was, I saw why they did it. It didn't bother me too much because at the end, really, yes, it's Oliver, but it's also, he's not the Green Arrow at that point. He's Spirit, so, not the Spirit, sorry.
Spectre.
Spectre. Sorry, I always get those two characters mixed up with their names.
The hell kind of fan are you?
Yeah, right.
One wears a hat, one wears a cloak. Get it together.
Oh, I'm sorry. One's named after a Bond movie. I should remember it.
One's named after a weird Samuel L. Jackson movie.
True.
So I we get Oliver Death number 1. Which is really effective. My only complaint is I felt like they cut away from the fight too early. Like I liked that Ollie was like there. He was out of arrows, but he was still going to fight all the way. But I wanted to see a little bit more of that. But instead, they cut back to where everyone had been transported, and then he gets transported like almost dead.
Yeah.
I just would have liked to have seen a little bit more of him, like giving his last little bit of fighting strength before collapsing.
I have to mention, it is funny watching the actors in this episode react to the earthquakes that aren't there.
Oh, yeah.
Like they're just talking, and all of a sudden they'll just like, start shaking and stuff.
Yeah.
It is pretty funny.
That's like the old Star Trek, They called it like
Yeah.
ship acting, as they would just have to pretend that the whole ship was shaking.
It was Brainy that went with them to find the baby.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Mia's fighting with the other guys.
Okay.
I know that because I'm playing in the background while we're talking.
Of course you are. Of course. So, they say goodbye to Oliver, and I think it's a really good scene. Again, if this was really going to be the final death, I think it was really well done. Mm-hmm. And I love that he tells Barry that, you're the best of us.
Yeah.
So, that's it for Ollie. And you're right. Like when this happened, we were like, oh crap, episode 1. That's it. Oh, here's a question, because this is a Supergirl episode. There's another superhero who's in like blue and white. I have no idea who she is.
Oh,
She like Dreamer
Nia,
or something?
Nia Nal.
What's her
Yeah.
superhero name?
I think it's Dreamer.
Is it Dreamer? Because I feel like
Yeah.
I've only seen her in passing, and I'm like, I don't know what she does, but she was there like helping evacuate people.
Yeah, and because her casting was a big deal because she was like the first trans actress from memory to be cast as a superhero, I think.
Well, so I know the character is trans. I didn't think the actor was trans.
Oh, yeah, no, definitely.
Oh, she is?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah. And her and Brainy have been a couple on Supergirl for quite a while.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I remember when she first showed up. Like that was when I started losing track of Supergirl. So I do remember her showing up, and I swear I remember her character saying she was trans, but that was before she became a superhero.
Yep.
And so then that was when I kind of lost track. But then so then I saw her running around and I'm like, I don't know what her powers are. I don't know, you know, like I don't know what she's doing because I just haven't watched the show in a while.
Yeah, kind of generic, you know, like waves and stuff.
Okay.
But she's pretty cool. I mean, I guess in some ways she's kind of been a replacement for Jimmy.
All right.
Because he's kind of been written out of the show now.
Yeah. She's transgender. I had no idea. I thought she was a female actor playing a transgender character. I did not know she was transgender herself. Well, blow for freedom.
Pretty good looking female character too, just quite.
Yeah. I would have never known.
No.
But just like on Titans, Chella Man, he's trans.
Yeah. Which I had no idea either.
Yeah, neither had Jamie when we talked about that. Jamie's like, really? I'm like, yeah. All right, so that is Supergirl. It ends with Ollie's death. We go on to part 2. That is Batwoman. And again, this one was on December 9th. So we are sort of dealing with everyone's sort of dealing with the death of Oliver. Mm-hmm. And the Monitor shows back up. And he explains the idea of the paragons, is that there are different paragons. And so at that point, he knows that Supergirl is the paragon of hope, and Sarah is the paragon of destiny. Right?
Sounds right. Yeah.
And he goes, and that's all he knows at the time. And then there's like a clue where he's like, there's a paragon of truth who is a Kryptonian who has suffered a great loss, and then there is a paragon of courage who is the Bat of the future.
Yes.
Right? How he knows that, I don't know.
You just go along with it.
That's a perfect example of like, how do you know that? How is it that you have 2 names and 2 riddles and then 3 question marks? How do you know this? But that's what they set it up as. Is they're like, okay, so we've got 2 of y'all, and then the other 2 you get to go find. And then at the same time, there's a smaller group that like they're determined to try and save Oliver or to bring Oliver back, and so they're going to go find a Lazarus pit. So yes. Even though all the Lazarus pits on this Earth had been destroyed, they're going to find an alternate Earth that still has a Lazarus pit. So who goes? Is it Mia and Sarah who go to try to resurrect Oliver?
And Barry.
Does Barry go to the Lazarus pit?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he's like standing there saying, you know, this isn't working and stuff like that.
Okay.
Barry's definitely with him, yeah.
And then they pick up John Constantine, who remains just one of the best. He's so freaking good. So they go hook up with Constantine, and Constantine is going to sort of be their guide to try and bring Ollie back via a Lazarus pit. Clark and Lois and Iris go to another Earth to find another Kryptonian.
Yes.
And then Kara and Kate go to find the Bat of the future.
Yes.
All right. It's a lot. Like I said, it's a lot of plate spinning. There's a lot going on trying to keep track of it all. But that allows us to, and then Lex Luthor shows up.
Correct.
And they introduced that the Book of Destiny is back. The Monitor went and grabbed the Book of Destiny. He also brought back Lex Luthor. So I didn't even know Lex Luthor was dead.
Yeah, that happened in Supergirl.
Yeah, so I missed that. But he brings back Lex Luthor, and he's like, everyone has a part to play. And so Kara's like, everyone's like, well, you brought back Lex Luthor. Why can't you bring back Oliver Queen? And then this is another one of those plot convenience things. Is like, oh, it's because I was more powerful a couple days ago, and I can't do it now.
Yeah.
Sure, Jan.
I will say, though, overall for this crossover, watching it the way that I have, it just reiterates something I've been saying for almost a year now, and that is, holy shit, John Cryer is a great Lex Luthor.
Oh, I'm so with you.
He's so good. He's the best. I know there's been quote-unquote bigger name actors to play the role, but in terms of the role itself, he is the most comic book accurate Lex we've ever had, and he is fucking phenomenal.
Oh, he's amazing. I'm so with you. I missed his arc on Supergirl because, again, I lost track of everything. So this is my first real experience with him. And yeah, he's so good. And he has such fun with the role.
Oh,
and
yeah.
and he's such a bastard, but he's also a little too charismatic for his own good. So I like him anyway.
Oh, he's a bastard, but you love every time he's on screen.
Yeah, he's so entertaining.
So good. Yeah.
So yeah, no, I'm with you. He's awesome. And so he steals the Book of Destiny and he just starts going and killing Superman.
Yep.
Just for funsies. But yeah, so then there's that little wrinkle as well. So like when they go to one of the Earths, Lex had beat them there, so that Superman had already died. And then they eventually end up on Earth 96, which is where we see Brandon Routh.
See, this threw me. Well, with the previous Superman's death, we get a nice little nod to Doomsday, even though it wasn't
Superman,
Doomsday.
yeah.
But yeah, Death of Superman with that iconic shot. But when it flashed up Earth 96,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's got to be Dean Cain. Because, Lois and Clark was on around that time, and I was just like, oh, come on. Because a lot of the Earths, like, Earth 89, Earth 66, like, they were references to the era that those characters, the incarnations of characters were around. And honestly, given Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher and the fact that they both have openly said they want to play those characters again, I'm really surprised they weren't involved in this. Also,
I
given
agree.
that they have been involved in the series prior, I'm really surprised that one or both of them weren't. So yeah, when I saw Earth 96, I had a moment of, oh, is this a surprise cameo I didn't know about? And sadly, it wasn't. Although what we got was pretty cool. I just don't know why it wasn't called like Earth 79 or something like.
It should have been Earth
70,
206. It should have been 206 because the movie came out in 2006.
But he's technically Christopher Reeve Superman.
Technically. I don't.
Because
I know technically, I just kind of don't consider it.
Because that's something I missed the first time around, is when he says that line of, "It's not the first time I've gone crazy and fought myself."
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he does give that nod to Superman 3. You're right.
So yeah, the Earth 96 thing threw me. I'm like, why isn't it? Because the original Superman movie's 78, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm like, why wasn't it Earth 78? Anyway.
No, good point. And yeah, especially because you're right. Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher would have done it in a second. But I don't know. That's weird. So yeah, it is the Brandon Routh Superman. I like how they explain that he's the only one from that movie. Everyone else is dead.
Well, that's actually a question.
Here's a wall. They're all gone. Sorry, Kate Bosworth. Go f- yourself.
Well, I mean, there's no great loss there. But the question I have is, does he infer that the Joker killed everyone?
Yeah, which is kind of awesome.
Because he says the reject from Gotham.
Okay.
Because I rewound it back and listened to it again. Like, he doesn't say the Joker. He doesn't say, the clown or the comedian or whatever. He says the reject from Gotham. And I'm like, that's a weird, like, was it a contractual thing where they couldn't refer to Joker?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I thought it was obvious that it was the Joker, and I kind of liked the explanation for it. But
well, that's what I thought too. Like, it's the green gas, and from Gotham. I'm like, well, it's clearly the Joker, but he says the reject. I'm like, that's a weird way to describe the Joker. I've never heard him called that before.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
And when he says his son Jason, I'm trying to remember, was that the name of the kid from Superman Returns?
Yes.
Okay.
At least
Cool.
if I remember correctly, yes. But yeah, so I mean, it was. I like the idea of the Joker being like, "I'm not getting enough press, so I will kill you all." That's so awesome.
That's the Joker.
Yeah, it's perfect. So yeah, I thought that was an interesting angle, and then Lex shows up. Well, actually, I think we get to Smallville before Lex shows up.
Yeah, we do.
So yeah, I think I jumped over Smallville maybe. So we get the Smallville scene, and I'm glad that Smallville gets a real scene.
No, sorry, Lex shows up first, but we get to Smallville before Lex appears in that scene.
Right,
Yeah,
but they go to Smallville first because then Lex zaps them away, right? Or who else is in Smallville talking to Tom Welling before Lex shows up?
They are, well...
It's them, right? It's Superman and Lois, right? They go,
Yeah, he's chopping wood. The Superman, Lois, and Iris show up.
Yeah.
And then Lex appears after that, yeah.
Yeah. So they show up, so we get I'm glad that Tom Welling and Erica Durance get a full-on scene instead of just a quick little cameo of them getting vaporized. And so, they show up and they warn him.
The kid from Superman Returns is Jason. I just double-checked it.
Okay. And so, they're there to warn Clark. Then Lex shows up, and Lex zaps them away. And he's like, oh, you're not Lex. And he's like, no, not the Lex you know, but... I was so happy to see Tom Welling and Erica Durance again. I mean, we've seen Erica Durance in Supergirl. Yeah. But so it was funny that she was in two parts of the crossover playing two different characters.
Two different characters, yeah. But, I also liked... sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say with, Lex saying, but I'm not the Lex you know, and how he references that he's Clark Kent, and he's like, on my Earth, that's impossible because he can't see past his own glasses.
Right, yeah. So I love that, but I was terrified that Lex was going to kill Clark because that would have broken my heart because I love Tom Welling's Clark so much.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh God, are they really going to do that? And I like that Tom Welling's sans superpowers still puts Lex on his ass.
Oh yeah.
It's awesome.
It's like I'm still stronger.
Yeah, that's great. So yeah, it made me so happy to see the two of them. I love that show. I always thought their relationship was just amazing. And so it was nice to see that they had some sort of happily ever after. It's weird that he gave up his powers, but like, whatever.
I know that upset a few hardcore Smallville fans, actually.
I know, and I get that because, like in my brain, I wanted that, in my headcanon after the series finale, I just wanted to believe it went on to be Superman,
Well, you've got the ongoing comic series, like Smallville Season 11, so you've kind of got two different continuities. It's like Halloween. You've got several continuities you can pick from in your headcanon, yeah.
Yeah, so I thought it was a little bit of a weird choice, but at the same time, I'm like, eh.
It's a way for them to stick to the no tights, no flights, because Tom Welling never really wanted to do that, so,
So was that really a Tom Welling thing? I thought that was a showrunner thing.
Didn't he say that he never wanted to wear the suit, though?
If he said that, I've never heard it. But
okay.
It doesn't mean he hasn't. A bigger Smallville fan than I would know, and that means we're going to get an email. But I never heard him say that, but that was the rule for the show.
Yeah.
But I also wondered if it was a way to be like, hey, Tom Welling's a little thicker than he used to be.
Well, also, too, it's a way of making it so he can't be part of the fight. Because, if he still had his powers, wouldn't you be like, well, dude, suit up and come and help us? Like,
yeah, go get him.
We can get.
Right.
Yeah, but it sort of makes that, not possible.
Yeah. Totally. But even so, I still really loved the scene. Again, they're great. I loved seeing Tom Welling back. Yeah, I always just thought he was such a great Clark. And so, yeah, that was really cool. And it causes Lex to be like, oh, like, well, this is boring. You took all the fun out of it.
Mm. But so, I love how he puts him on his ass at the end. That's pretty awesome.
It's awesome. So anyway, that's what then leads them to Brandon Routh's Superman. And so they're recruiting him because it's obvious that he's got the wall of dead people. That they're like, okay, you're the one we're looking for, and which again makes sense that one of the paragons would be Brandon Routh because he's already part of the show, so it's easy to get him to film as much as they want without paying extra. So it also makes sense. So
how good is it to see Brandon Routh get another bite of the cherry at Superman?
Oh, so good, and he's
just amazing.
And here's the thing. Okay. I love Brandon Routh. And I think that in Superman Returns, he was good. I don't think he was great. Part of it, I think, because he just wasn't given a lot of great material to work with.
No,
and also, he was still really young. He wasn't super comfortable in his own skin yet. So he did a good job, and I think that he could have done a great job if they had, if he had been able to grow with the role. And here, watching him get to do it and truly be great as Superman was just so satisfying.
Definitely.
You know,
that
to
was
really
what
show
everybody said. Like, yeah, Superman Returns isn't, well liked in the fan community. I mean, some people genuinely love it, and that's fine. Menus at restaurants, I can take it or leave it. But he was never bad in it. Like, everyone liked him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, I remember everyone, and myself included, being so happy when he was cast in Arrow. As Ray Palmer. It's like, awesome. He gets another shot at a DC superhero. And then, however many years later, 4 or 5 years later, to see him have another bite of the cherry as Superman. I mean, that's just awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So well done. He was brilliant in the suit again. He looked amazing.
I think he was padded.
great.
He had to have been padded, right? Like that. When he was in the Superman suit, he was like too defined.
I'm not sure.
It didn't look natural.
I genuinely don't know.
Okay. But he still looked great. I mean, don't get me wrong. He looked great. But it was just like when you see him as Ray Palmer and then you see him in the Superman suit, I'm like, I think he was gotten some help here. But you're right. He's amazing. And we all knew he could be a great Superman, and he just unfortunately never got that shot. And I'm so glad that he did get the shot here because he is so good. And how quickly he is to jump in to help. And then, of course, that all goes crazy because Lex shows up, turns him against them, and we get a Superman on Superman fight.
Yes.
Which was unexpected, but really cool.
And
like
for
seeing
a
them fight
CW
on
budget.
Yeah.
It looked pretty bloody good.
Yeah. And them fighting on top of the Daily Planet was super cool. Mm-hmm. I really like that. But yeah, no, you're right. For CW, I mean, I would say that overall for the CW, like the amount of superhero action powers effects, it's pretty well done.
I have noticed, and this is something you'll see with the CW shows, if they have a show that has really big special effects, either an episode or two prior or after, is very bare bones. Like, there won't be a lot of superhero action.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been the case I've noticed with like Flash and stuff after Crisis, is there hasn't, like, they've still been good, but there hasn't been a hell of a lot of super heroics. Like, the last episode was Barry and Iris doing a heap of stuff together, but Barry never really used his powers, and it was kind of written in the episode as to why. But it's like, yeah, because you blew all your money on Crisis. It's like whenever they had Grodd or King Shark, it was like, the next episode or after, 1 or 2 would always be very, very minimalistic.
Yes. So, no, that stuff was really good. So we have the Paragon of Love. At the same time, Kara and Kate go to Wayne Manor. And they like how they tease it of like, who wants to go meet Batman? But guess what? We're not going to really meet Batman because of course we're not.
No.
Because we're gonna do what we always do, which is just skirt the line of kind of meeting Batman, because that's how we do it. So I like that Luke Fox is there, and I like that he's all cool and buff and everything. And Kate's like, "Oh wow, nice six pack." So I thought that was pretty funny. And so then, we get Kevin Conroy as Bruce Wayne, but this is a future timeline. So he's old and he's got this, like, he's decrepit. He's got like this exoskeleton thing. And Kevin Conroy finally gets to play Bruce Wayne in live action. What'd you think of him?
I love the voice. Like, as soon as, because you don't see him, you hear that voice first.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, yeah, there's my Batman.
Yeah.
I never expected it to go the way that it did.
Right.
With that characterization. I didn't hate it. I thought it was kind of cool. But again, it's like all these other cameos. Like, you had to have a way of acknowledging their existence, giving them a cool line or a cool scene, and then taking them out of it because it has to be about our core cast, like the guys from the CW shows.
Mm-hmm. I think, that makes a lot of sense.
And Kevin Conroy was great for what he did. Like, and, his version of Batman is one that we've never seen go bad. So for him to be able to play that for something different as well was kind of cool. And that, you know, there was some nice lines in there about, what's the line about, you know, life doesn't make sense unless you force it to, or what's
Yep, my parents taught me that life doesn't make sense unless you force it to.
Yeah, like that was really cool. I was seeing all the little nods to the villains that he's killed. And obviously there's the little cameo of the '89 Batmobile in there as well.
Yeah, which is so easy to miss. Like, you've really got to be looking for it. It's so quick.
That is something that I did see the first time around.
Really?
Oh yeah, I'm so, like, you know, you see those fins and instantly I'm just like, oh, yep, you know, I spotted it straight away.
Well, because it's like in the foreground while they're fighting, so I think I was focused on the fight.
Pans across, but no, it's I noticed it first go around. I think that's 30 years of loving that Batmobile. So
yeah,
if I spotted that, imagine if it was the big Batman Forever fin.
Oh
wow.
My God, forget about it. So of course I love Kevin Conroy. I love his voice. I felt like his acting was a little off. There was something. It was a little overdone.
When was the last time he did in front of camera acting, though?
I think that's it. Is he's so used to doing it in a sound booth. So I just think he was a little... there was something about it that I was like, oh no, like it's just a little overacty. So...
Look, again, we got to see Kevin Conroy play a live-action Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
If that had have been it in terms of cameos and stuff... But yeah, that would have been amazing. But the fact we have all these other ones to go with it, we're so spoiled.
Oh, totally. So yeah, it was very interesting that this was a Bruce Wayne or Batman who crossed the line and never looked back, and even killed that Earth's Superman. And it's interesting how it went down, and actually it became the fight between Kate, Kara, and Bruce, and they killed Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
So I did like when they come back and they're like, well, we killed the Paragon, so sorry, like we're out of luck anyway.
Yeah.
And then of course, how convenient. It just means that it was the journey to the Bat of the future will find you the next Paragon. It's not going to be him, but it shows you that you're the Paragon. So of course, Kate's the Paragon.
Yeah. Look, it's a way of getting that cool cameo in.
Yeah.
And I'm not complaining about it.
No. I thought it was a great sequence. It was just one of those things. It's so funny because when it comes down to it, it's like there are 7 Paragons. 6 of them are regulars on these shows, and then one's a rando, brand new character that we're going to bring in.
How lucky is that actor?
I know. So it's like it was just so funny because they're like,
before, I'd be very surprised if we see him again, and he just gets to come in and like play ball with like these amazing DC heroes. It's like, you lucky prick.
Well, again,
was
like,
he a competition winner or something?
Right? And like, what are the odds though that like if 7 Paragons in the multiverse are all that stand between the Anti-Monitor and like whatever, the death of the multiverse? What are the odds that 6 of the 7 would be from the same Earth?
Crazy, I know.
There are infinite Earths, but 6 of the 7, and the 7th is Supergirl.
Because technically, Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman is part of that multiverse.
Yeah.
How is she not the paragon of love?
She expensive. She busy.
Yeah, right?
Sorry. Anyway, so that's how they decide that Kate's a Paragon, and at the same time they find the Lazarus Pit. We get a surprise cameo from Jonah Hex.
Yes,
which
the scar.
Minus the scar. So I did like there is a moment where one of them, I can't remember who says it, but is like, well, you're gonna get that scar eventually.
Sarah.
Yeah, which I thought was pretty cool. So yes, they get Oliver in the Lazarus Pit, but they still have to bring his soul back from purgatory, which we learned way back when they brought Sarah back.
Yes.
And I think that's sort of where the second episode ends, somewhere in there.
Roughly.
Yeah, I don't have it all beat for beat. So the third episode was The Flash, and again, that one was on December 10th. This one opened with another like little quick cameo where we got the original Birds of Prey from the Birds of Prey show from 2004? 2003? Yeah, because I think it was Earth 203, right?
Yeah, I've just hit play now, so it's gonna.
Which is why I said that
203.
Yeah, it's 203 because the show was in 2003, which again was so then Brandon Routh Superman should have been Earth 206. Why would it have been 96? That's so weird.
Yep.
So I don't know. It was really cool to get that. It was the voice of Dina Meyer, which I thought was awesome.
That's what I was going to ask. I wasn't too sure.
She tweeted it out, and she was like, she goes, "Hey, hope everybody enjoyed our little cameo. It was super fun. We were glad to be a part of it." It was just a really quick thing, but I love that they were there. They could have used what's her girl from Batwoman, since she's already doing Batwoman, because she was the third bird of prey.
She was Black Canary.
Yeah, she was their version of Black Canary. But I don't think she had the scream.
Phenomenally, by the way.
Yeah, she looks great. But yeah, I thought it was cool that they included that Birds of Prey.
That was another nice little nod.
Yeah, I like that show.
I've only ever seen a handful of episodes, but I remember watching it at the time because it used to air like really late at night over here because it was kind of like we'll just throw it in the schedule.
Yeah.
So I used to record it and then watch it, a couple of days later. My favorite part was always the opening scene, like the opening credits thing, because you actually got to see a guy in a bat suit with Catwoman.
Yeah.
And back then, that was all we had.
I know. We'll take what we can get.
Exactly.
Well, it's on DC Universe, so you can just enjoy it that way.
Oh, nice. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Asshole.
So they decide they have to go find Ryan Choi, who is the paragon of humanity. And like there's a whole subplot where, who the hell is it? I want to say it's Ray Palmer, who's like working on a paragon finder.
Yes, he is.
Which is like, again, how?
And that's how. And then Cisco comes in and helps because it's an episode of The Flash.
Right.
That's the thing. That's how you can tell it's a Flash episode, because all of a sudden, like right at the start, a portal opens, like every Flash cast member jumps out.
Yep. That's true. Well, there was also I think it was the last episode when they go get a wave rider from another Earth, and so Mick Rory is on it.
Yes, and he looks after the baby because no one can stop the baby from crying. So they hand it to Rory, and Rory becomes the babysitter, which is so cute.
And on that ship, the voice of the ship is Leonard Snart.
Correct.
Which was cool.
Yes. Another little cameo to get in there.
Yeah, so that was neat. So anyway, they're trying to find they got the Paragon Finder, so they're trying to find the rest of the Paragons. So they go to find Ryan Choi. Oh, you're right, because then Elongated Man is there too, and he gets really excited, and they're like, it's his first crossover.
Yeah, I love it how they do keep referencing crossover. Like they openly say it.
Oh, constantly. It's so funny. So and so he's there. So like they go to find Ryan Choi. So it's Ray, Iris, and Ralph, right? It's the three of them. They go to get Ryan Choi.
To show that, to prove that they're superheroes, he uses his powers. Because that was the thing too. When they see Ryan, he's like, "Oh my god, it's you!" And Ralph gives like a little, "Yeah, it's me." But he goes to Ray Palmer because he's a science nerd and he's a scientist.
So I mean, I'm sure they're setting up Ryan Choi so that way when Brandon Routh ends his stint, that Ryan can step in as the new Adam.
Oh, I didn't think of that.
I mean, that was my guess, because Ryan Choi is the current Adam.
Oh shit! See, I did not know that, so that's my bad.
Yeah, so I think he's going to be taking his place.
That would make sense then, I guess.
And apparently that actor was on some other show. I can't remember which one it was. But like, we were watching it, and I think it was Catherine's like, "Oh, I love that guy," and I'm like, "Do you know him?" And she's like, "Oh, he was on blank. It could have been Supernatural or Gilmore Girls, or some other CW show. Yeah, some other CW show. Vampire Diaries, maybe one of those. I don't know, but I like him. I think he was good. So they have to go convince him to be a Paragon, and so Iris is the one who eventually convinces him, which I think is a nice touch. And then Constantine and Sarah and Mia, they have to go to purgatory, and so we get another surprise cameo from Lucifer.
Yeah, see, now I've never watched that show. I know nothing about it, but when that door opened, I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's Lucifer from that show. And I had to quickly Google. I was like, holy shit, it is. Because it's just a show I've never watched. It's meant to be really good, but I've never watched it.
Yeah, neither have I, because I don't know the comics. And the show isn't superhero-y enough for me to make it a priority.
No.
But it is technically another DC show, and I've never watched it. But again, I've seen the ads on Netflix because it's now on Netflix, and so I know how that guy looks. And so when he popped out, I was like, oh, okay, I know he's Lucifer. I'd never watched the show in my life. After this cameo, I really want to watch the show.
He was pretty good, hey?
He was awesome, okay? Like he was so cool and so charismatic. I was like, I will watch him all day. He was amazing. So I all of a sudden I've added it to my Netflix queue list, whatever. I haven't started it, but I was like, I will give that a shot because he was so good.
It's like a bit of a man whore.
Oh yeah, and he and Constantine bouncing off of each other was because Matt Ryan is so awesome, and that guy, I don't even know his name, but he was so good.
God, I love Matt Ryan.
They were so
awesome.
Great. Oh, I love it.
He's a lovely guy too, to actually talk to. And he's one of these people at a convention who will literally, he will have a conversation with you.
Oh, that's awesome. I love to hear that.
He's a sweetheart.
But yeah, no, the two of them, please, next crossover, put the two of them on a adventure together. Because they would just be so much fun to watch. And there's a moment where someone corrects him on how to say a name, and he just goes, "I don't care."
He calls him Constantine.
Yes,
and
yes.
He's like, "It's Constantine," and then he's like, "Yeah, I don't care."
I don't care. And at this point, I think Diggle has joined them, right?
Yes.
Because Diggle's going to go to Purgatory with them. I also liked that about the fact that Oliver died.
So many characters to keep track of.
I told you, man, it's so much. But I like the fact that Oliver died. Diggle wasn't there, and Diggle has this huge regret of he was my brother. I can't believe I wasn't there. Mm-hmm. I just think that was a really great, very true character motivation, and so that's why he's like, I am with you guys to do anything we can for Oliver.
Yes,
I love that. So yeah, they get that card so they can go to Purgatory, and we end up on that damn island again.
Yes, we do.
Freaking island. And then at the same time, Barry and Cisco and is it Killer Frost? Maybe they all go.
Yeah.
Because they basically find the antimatter generator cannon thing.
Cisco gets his powers back too.
Yeah, well, see, again, I've lost track. I didn't realize that Cisco lost his powers.
No, at the end of last season, he took because they invented a drug to take powers away from metas to give them a choice.
Oh, I do remember that because there was, because it was the Chris Klein character or something, right? I kind of remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. Cicada.
Yes, Cicada.
Yeah. So he chose to take the drug. He didn't want to be Vibe anymore.
Yeah.
But the thing that was weird, I remember him it came out that he was leaving the series, and that's why he did it. They kind of wrote him out of the show. They made it this whole thing that he was leaving, and he's back. He's a main character in the show again. So I don't know what happened or what didn't happen, but yeah, Cisco didn't stay away for long at all.
Oh, interesting.
Because I remember he wanted to go back to stage acting or something, but yeah, the actor, he was done. And then I don't know if something just didn't work out, but he's back. It's he never left.
Okay, good to know. But yeah, they they basically find back behind the wall is where this antimatter cannon is coming from. And I will say this, one of my biggest issues I think with the crossover is that they kept talking about the anti-monitor. I loved that Cisco hated the name Anti-Monitor. I thought that was awesome.
Even Oliver references it at some point. They call it when Barry's trying to get all of the Paragons together, and he says the antimatter, and Oliver's like, doesn't sound like a real name.
Yeah, I loved how much fun they had with that. And then even when they run into Pariah, and Cisco's like, apparently we're just naming things without me now.
Yeah.
But what was my point? So, yes, my issue with the overall crossover is they kept talking about the Anti-Monitor, but I feel like they did not do a great job building him up until pretty late. Like, we get him for, like, a quick moment in, I think, episode 2, but, like, I wish he had been a stronger presence throughout, so it really felt like, oh, this is the bad guy we're after. Because it was just sort of this weird nebulous thing of, like, they kept talking about him, but we didn't really get to meet him or spend any time with him.
Yeah. It could be a budgetary thing of having the actor in the prosthetics and makeup for that amount of time. And
right.
Yeah.
So, anyway, there's this antimatter cannon. There's a blur. They're like, that blur is alive, and it is John Wesley Shipp as Flash from Earth 90.
In costume again.
Yeah, God, I love that guy. And so, yeah, he's like, okay, thanks for getting me off, because Cisco's able to vibe him off.
Phrasing.
Oh, yeah. Listen. Okay, so they get him off the treadmill.
He even says, like, thanks for the reprieve, but, like,
yes.
I need to get back on there.
He should have said, thanks for getting me off.
Well, he should have, but, we're not the writers of the show.
Well, maybe we should be. But yeah, he says, like, yeah, thanks for the reprieve, but you got to get me back on there because there's a fail-safe, and if I stop running, it'll, self-destruct or whatever. So they kind of have to decide, like, what do they do? And Grant Gustin's Barry, he knew that, like, he's known for years now that, like, oh, he dies in Crisis. Mm-hmm. And so he's like, this is it. This is when I go. So I guess this is, and it, like, flashes back to him saying goodbye to Iris because he knew that this might be coming. And somehow does Vibe Black Lightning in? Somehow Black Lightning pops in. Pariah does. Okay. So Black Lightning shows up finally, which is great. It's nice to finally see him mixing it up with the rest of the CW Arrowverse. And that poor guy, he just found out his entire family and Earth is destroyed, but we need you right now to do something else. Like, he's given no time to grieve, which is crazy. And so he's trying to, like, contain as much power as he can while they're figuring out how they can try to destroy this thing. I loved when the two Flashes go into Flash time to have the conversation.
I was literally about to say that. Yeah, it's awesome.
That's really damn cool.
I just love the way they give each other the nod, and then, like, they're just surrounded by lightning and talking.
Yes. Oh man, it's so awesome. I love John Wesley Shipp. I've been rewatching Flash from 1990, and God, I love that show. So it's always nice to see him back. And so Grant Gustin Barry.
I love his felt suit.
The suit it's like the way it's, like, flocked is so strange. Like the suit
it's a great looking suit. But
oh yeah, it's just something weird about the finish on it.
From memory, didn't Bob Ringwood do it?
Well, so this was a remade suit. It wasn't the original suit, but I think
it's not the original. But actually, isn't Sean Reeves the name of the guy who did it?
I think so.
Yeah, because I follow him on Facebook. But
yeah.
The original one was Bob Ringwood, wasn't it?
I think I'd have to check, but that sounds right. Because they basically got anyone they could from Batman 89 to do the show.
Yeah.
But anyway, John Wesley Shipp Flash, he takes Barry's place, and he's gonna run it, and I think he runs it in reverse to destroy it, something like that.
Yes.
And but this is apparently what's creating, like, the antimatter wave.
It is.
And so by doing this, the wave will stop, in theory. And that's the other thing I'll say is like, they win like 3 times in the crossover, and then you're like, okay, they won, and then something else comes up and it's like, oh no, got to do this again. So this is like, I think this is the first time they win by destroying the wave.
I'll be honest. Like, even though it had only been a month, like, I thought the end in the final episode was when Oliver sacrificed himself, but I was like, oh, that's the end of episode 4. What the hell happens after this? I totally forgot.
Yeah. The anti-monitor just won't go down without a fight.
No.
But anyway, so yeah, Flash 90 sacrifices himself and to destroy the antimatter wave, and I like that there's even a little flashback between him and Tina McGee.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes me sad to think that Flash is passed away, but I guess he goes out like a hero.
Well, he does, yeah.
And they even do the Danny Elfman theme from the show, which is awesome.
And then they zoom down, and on the treadmill, there's just his logo.
Yeah.
On there. I have a question. I mean, I know you haven't been up to date with all the shows, but after 6 seasons of Flash, and I mean, in the lead up to Crisis, this 6th season, a lot of it is to deal with, life without Barry, because they know his time is limited. His Crisis is coming, and he's going to die. I don't know. It just feels like it was a clever resolution to it, but it felt very quick. No pun intended, being the Flash, but it just sort of felt like, he comes back to Earth and Iris, and he's just like, oh, it wasn't me, it was the other Barry Allen.
Yeah.
And that's kind of it. It's like, guys, you've been building to our Barry dying for 6 seasons.
Yeah, I know. Like, yeah, it felt a little too easy to escape it.
I liked it, and it's weird. Like, I genuinely liked it, and it was clever, but I also feel a little bit empty from it as well, because I'm like, well, okay, I guess, but yeah, it's been a long road to this moment, and it's all of a sudden not him.
Now it's not a problem anymore.
No.
Yeah, I mean, that's a valid point.
It's like it's the island on Arrow. Like, they kept coming back to it for so long, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, I guess that doesn't matter anymore. Because,
yeah, I guess we're not worried about it.
Yeah.
So, question, have you watched The Flash since Crisis?
Yes.
So, did they, go revisit the newspaper?
No, they haven't.
Okay, because, yeah, that should change, right? Or a little Back to the Future moment.
You would think so, but no, I haven't gone into the time vault at all from memory.
It's
only been 2 episodes. Or
okay.
So 1 or 2. Yeah, it hasn't been many, because it's that weird time of year where everything comes back from Christmas break, and they'll be on for a couple of episodes, and then there's 2 or 3 weeks between shows again, and yeah. Like Supergirl and Batwoman haven't been on for 3 weeks, but I know that was because of the Super Bowl and the Oscars and stuff. But yeah, it's that weird thing of, okay, we're back, but now we're breaking again for a bit, and there's off weeks and on weeks, and yeah.
Yeah, all right, interesting. Yeah, I know. I mean, I do agree with you. I think that for something that seemed like it was inevitable, it seemed like pretty easy to solve.
Because the problem is, he went missing in the Crisis, so if he had have gone missing, it would have been interesting to see, those characters carry on without him, but they've already done that. When he was sucked into, was it the Speed Force or something?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right.
He was gone for, a year or so, so they've kind of already shot their wad.
Well, now they don't have to worry about it. He's not going anywhere. All right, so now Black Lightning.
His costume this season. His costume, they finally nailed it.
I think it is the best one yet.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so good.
So Black Lightning is now part of the party. There's a great scene between he and Barry, which I thought was awesome, of them talking about their fathers and what they've learned from their fathers and how they keep going and how they're going to fight. I think Black Lightning gets an awesome moment too when he's trying to hold in all that energy, and he recites his mantra, which is, whose life is this? Mine. What are you going to do? Live it by any means necessary. I think that was really cool too. I loved watching he and Barry bond. I thought that was really neat.
I loved when I was going to say Henry, when Barry from Earth 90 gets back on the treadmill and he refers to our Barry as son.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a lovely moment because we know that John Wesley Shipp also played Henry.
Mm-hmm.
So this is kind of his exit from these shows in any
He's still Jay
capacity,
Garrick,
really.
though, right? Isn't he still Jay Garrick?
Christ, again, a lot of continuity I'm trying to remember.
Right? Because he was Henry Allen, he was Jay Garrick, and he's Barry Allen on Earth 90.
Yeah, I can't remember if Jay Garrick, yeah. Oh shit, dude, I can't remember. It's been so much.
All right, well, I don't either.
Again, people will tweet and email.
Yeah. And back on Purgatory, they do find Oliver. They've got to bring his memory back. And they're like, okay, we got him. And Ivan went, oh, good. Like, they got Ollie back. I knew, of course, they wouldn't be able to truly do it because I know that the show is done.
Yeah.
So I was like, what's going to happen that's going to screw this up? And then the Spectre shows up. And he basically is like, listen, like, I'm the Spectre. If you want to truly help your friends and you want to help everyone, you come with me, but you can't go back. And so Ollie makes that choice and he becomes the Spectre.
Which begs the question. This is something I didn't think of when I first watched it, but I was thinking of today. What happened to his soulless body that is alive again?
God, you're right. I don't know.
But does the Spectre... Did he inhabit that body? But the Spectre's a Spectre.
Right.
See, what happened to the Ollie that they resurrected?
That's true. I didn't think about it, but...
crazy, yeah.
I'm not sure.
There's the other subplot in this episode, too, with Kara and Kate, with Kara wanting to bring back her Earth using the Book of Destiny, and Kate, being against her, and we see that Kate was stolen or given, I think she may have stolen, kryptonite from Earth. What was the Earth from the bad Batman?
It doesn't matter.
Earth.
From Kevin Conroy's Batman.
Yeah, which sort of sets up the whole, like in the comics, how Batman has a piece of kryptonite. And, Kara finds out about it, and then she does the whole, no, keep it. Like, I trust you with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I like Kara being like, there's got to be a way. If we can do all this other stuff, there should be a way to save the Earth. Because, of course, it's going to eventually get there somehow. But, yeah, so it was a nice little... conflict between she and Kate, but I do like how much they've allowed her and Kate to bond, and the trust and respect between the two of them. I am honest.
Built it up in last year's crossover. They referred to each other themselves as the world's finest.
Right.
And it is cool to have that version of it on TV.
Right. Yeah. I'm kind of shocked there wasn't like a Kate-Alex flirty moment.
Yeah.
It seems like it would have been a no-brainer, but because Alex already slept with Sarah Lance, like maybe they're like, oh, we can't have her sleep with every lesbian on the show.
And in the show, she's got a girlfriend too.
Does she right now? No, she doesn't. She's single again. She had a girlfriend for like one episode. She's with Jimmy Olsen's sister. Oh, Alex. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about Kate. I'm like, no, Kate's still on the market.
No. I'm talking about Alex.
Oh, okay. Well, then there you go. That makes sense. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Because is Batgirl the only show you're watching?
Yes.
Active? Okay.
Yeah, Batwoman is the only one I'm keeping up on.
Fair enough.
Okay, so
you should watch Legends, dude. It's really fun.
So I did watch the first couple of Legends. So I'm getting better on.
Just a quick segue. Did you watch the one from this week with the Masked Killer?
No, not yet.
Oh, dude, you being the Halloween fan and the horror movie fan, you need to watch this week's episode.
Okay, I will.
Yeah, it's made for people like us.
Awesome.
Imagine DC heroes fighting Michael Myers.
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So, there's all that, and then Ollie agrees to become the Spectre, and then that's that. Wait. Oh, no, this one all ends with Harbinger showing up. She's like possessed by the Anti-Monitor.
Mm-hmm.
And like laying waste to everybody. And basically they're all powerless as the antimatter wave comes and grabs them all.
Yes.
Except for Pariah is able to save all the Paragons.
That was actually a cool moment. It was my favorite moment with what's her name, Diggle's wife, because she's playing two roles essentially.
Harbinger.
Harbinger, yeah, with her in that role. That was kind of cool. How like, you know, Barry and them were working out like, hang on, no, why is she here? This doesn't make sense. And Pariah's here, and he's sent to watch. Is it tragedy or loss or something? And they work it out, and then she does the turn. And I thought that was really cool. Like that was my favorite moment with her in the whole crossover.
Yeah, I agree with you. It was cool. But again, it's that whole thing where like, but the Anti-Monitor is still this nebulous thing because he's not there. It's, you know, it's him possessing her.
Yeah. It's got to be.
It was just weird that it was just weird that he was sort of this faceless thing for most of it. So anyway, but yes, you're right. Like there's the moment where she shows up and Diggle's like, "Oh, thank God you're okay," and then there's the moment where everybody's like, "Wait a minute," and then she makes the turn.
Can't explain where she's been, and
and so Pariah is able to save the Paragons, but then the antimatter wave destroys everything else, and so now everything is truly gone. All that's left are the Paragons at the vanishing point.
Yes.
Because that's where they left us before Christmas.
They did.
And just before it goes, Brandon Routh Superman, who was the Paragon of Truth, he gets replaced by Lex Luthor because Lex Luthor, that SOB, is that he rewrote and made himself the Paragon of Truth. He rewrote in the Book of Destiny.
Yeah. And gave himself some upgrades, but we'll come
to that. I liked earlier on when like Lex Luthor did pop up and the Monitor was like, "Oh, this was before my powers were weakened, blah, blah, blah." And Batwoman goes, "Listen, all I got from that is if we kill you, you can't come back."
Yeah. And the way she threatens him too, like to break his arm and stuff. Like,
yeah. I like what she's like, "So this Lex Luthor, he's kind of a dick, huh?"
Yeah.
Anyway, so we get back. We come back. This is episode 4. Episode 4 again is Arrow, and this was when it came back on January 14th. We get like the Monitor origin story.
Yes.
So like thousands of years ago, he was like a scientist who wanted to witness the birth of the universe, and in that, he somehow also, he ended up on the birth of the anti-universe. I don't know. I didn't need this. I think it just made me more confused.
I mean, it explains why the Anti-Monitor exists as well. It's, it was what it was.
Yeah, for me, I was just like, But yeah, that was essentially how the Anti-Monitor got created, is he was dabbling and time traveling, and he wanted to witness the birth of the universe, and he somehow ended up creating the Anti-Monitor in the anti-universe or something.
Yeah, shit went sideways.
Oh, some shit like that. I don't know. But anyway, they're back at the vanishing point. They're trying to figure out a way to get out. It seems like they've been there months, weeks, because like Ryan Choi grew a beard, so...
I think they refer to it as being months, but they're still in their outfits. They got nothing to eat and nowhere to go to the toilet.
So I thought the same thing. I was like, can they eat? Can they go to the bathroom? Or
that's the kind of shit in these stories you just can't focus on.
But I'm like, or does it not matter because it says this is the one thing that's outside of time and space? So maybe those rules don't apply. You don't have to eat.
Yeah.
Perhaps. But yeah, like, I thought the same exact thing. But anyway, so Barry's like trying to use the Speed Force to escape, but he can't because there's nowhere to escape to. There's nothing left. It's all. And then Ollie shows up as the Spectre. So like they give him the big green cloak, but like his Spectre look, I feel like could have been better. It could have been a little more Spectre-y, but they just basically put Stephen Amell in a big overcoat.
Grade him up a little bit.
Yeah. But he shows up And he's like, the Speed Force is the key. And Barry's like, I can't get to it. And so he
touches him on the forehead.
Touches him on the forehead. A little boop. And gives him, and like enhances his powers. I do think those are great.
It's unlocking his potential is the way he refers to it.
Yeah. But I do love when he basically like, do you trust me? And he goes, are you Oliver Queen? He goes, yes.
Yes.
Then I trust you with every cell of my being. I think that was really cool. Yeah, it was great. And so, yes, because of that, the Flash, his potential was unlocked. He was able to get back into the Speed Force and bring everyone with him. And so he drops off Supergirl, Lex, and Ryan Choi because they got to go find... They're going to find the Monitor, right? Yeah, they're going to go try and stop the Monitor from creating the Anti-Monitor. Mm-hmm. So they get dropped off there, and then the Anti-Monitor attacks them in the Speed Force, and they all get scattered to the wind within the Speed Force.
Yes.
And so Ollie is like, okay, like they're scattered. I'm using the memories of our past to keep them in the Speed Force. Otherwise, they'll be lost because there's nothing more powerful than memory and connection. And so you have to go find them in the Speed Force and bring them back. And so this allows them to do a little Avengers Endgame and have the Flash revisit moments over the course of these different shows.
And when it happens too, do you notice that like this picture quality is different? It goes to letterbox format.
Yeah.
It's very cinematic.
Yeah. So I think it was a cool way to do it. And I also like that because it's in the Speed Force and it's memories, it's not actually time travel.
No.
It's allowed to make sense that he can go in and mess with stuff and he's not screwing up the timeline. It's because it's memories that he's messing with.
Yeah, because he keeps saying all the people like, you're not really here.
This isn't really happening. You're not really here. I'm really sorry.
See, which begs the question, and again, I know it's all sciencey stuff, and you're not supposed to think about it, but if it's all memories, how does Ezra Miller fit into it?
So, but they're in the Speed Force.
Oh, yeah, of course, yep.
Because yes, that was something I thought too, where I was like, man, the Ezra Miller cameo thing, which we did talk about in depth, go back and listen to that, but I still think it's amazing. I still love it. But yeah, I did think that felt a little like random because and it is random because by their own admission, they had to find a place to stick it in because it wasn't part of the original plan.
Yeah, that already locked pretty much.
But the place that it made the most sense is he's already in the Speed Force. And so before he even gets to any memories, he runs into the other Flash who's also in the Speed Force.
Correct, yep. See, this is the kind of shit that I just get so excited that it's happening. I don't ever think about the how.
Right. Well, and the how is less important because it's like, oh, it's the Speed Force, and the Speed Force is this weird, strange, mysterious thing that almost anything is possible in, and I accept that as it is. I just, in movies and TV, stuff like that, I just need to be there to be some sort of internal logic, which is why I was glad that they clarified that, no, these moments in the Speed Force aren't actually happening. These people are trapped in their own memories, and Flash has to go get them.
Yeah.
So even though he's going into these people's memories, he's not changing anything.
Nope.
He's just collecting the people. So, yes. So anyway, yes, we get the Ezra Miller cameo, which again, delightful.
Amazing.
Yeah, so good. And then yeah, we get to go back and have little visits and cameos in other moments through time. I do think that the one Kate visits is really random.
Yeah, why would she go there?
Like, why would she go there? And also, like, why that moment? I don't even remember. I mean, I'm sure it was real, but it didn't feel like some big iconic moment from any of these shows. I just felt they were like, well, we can't do one from Batwoman, so let's just put her in this weird conversation that Ray Palmer was having with Oliver Queen.
I did like the one with Ollie and Kara.
Oh,
just
yeah,
again because like the nerd in me, and I'm just like, well, Kara's hair did not look like that. in that
That's
crossover.
true. Yeah, that's
It was
true.
much longer, and she didn't have the fringe. But I can let it slide. But I definitely noticed it straight away.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, and then like the death of Sarah Lance, that makes a lot of sense. It allowed Katie Cassidy to be there. Like that made sense. Then yeah, the Oliver and Kara one, because that was the very first crossover, that made sense. So all the other ones made sense. It was just that first one with Oliver and Ray that I just was like, okay, like sure.
Yeah, I was like that too.
They also they revisited. I think it was last year, Elseworlds. They revisited a moment there.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's where Ollie was.
right. And then back on whatever the name of the Monitor's planet was, Maltus, something like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
they basically go talk the Monitor out of doing, his experiment because you're going to destroy everything. And it actually works, but it doesn't
That's
matter.
after Lex tries to get him to be on his side.
Yeah, and that's where we find out Lex, when he rewrote the Book of Destiny, he also gave himself some powers.
He's really good in that scene, and I love it when Ryan talks the Monitor out of it, and he comes in and is like, he's not going to do it, and Lex is like, "Oh, you just ruined a really good bad guy plot, new guy."
Yeah, right. That's true. Lex, he's being Lex, and they talk the Monitor out of it. And again, it's other things where it's like, oh, they won. They talked the Monitor out of doing it. He doesn't create the anti-Monitor. They've won. Nope, doesn't matter. They all get sucked to the anti-Monitor universe. And the anti-Monitor goes, it doesn't matter. There are infinite Earths, and on one of those Earths, he will create me. It's an inevitability. It's like, okay, so you won, but you didn't. And then it leads to another big fight here against all the Wraiths. And this is where, Spectre Ollie takes on the anti-Monitor.
Yeah.
So, there's some neat stuff here where they're all fighting off the Wraiths, and I just kept thinking, man, what's Ryan Choi gonna do? This nerdy little scientist, like Lex at least gave himself superpowers. What the hell's Ryan gonna do against these things? But he's trying. God bless him. This is like their big last stand, and then Ollie. Oh, and then they basically are like, okay, well, what do we do now as Paragons? And this is another one where I was like, I don't know. I feel like it wasn't the best written moment where they're like, we focus. What? What? We focus.
Yeah.
I focus on honor. I focus on truth. I focus on... Oh, yeah, because we find out Jean Jones is the paragon of honor, right?
Yeah.
And so they basically just stare at Ollie fighting the Anti-Monitor and focus. I'm like, okay. That's what the Paragon's purpose was? Okay. But anyway, Ollie does manage to defeat the Anti-Monitor with the help of the focus of the Paragons.
Yeah.
And so this is Ollie's second death scene. Again, I think really well done, and I love that Sarah is there for both of them, but so is Barry.
Yeah.
And so, and through this, he is able to restart the multiverse. But because this fight still happens at the dawn of time. So when they restart the multiverse, everything like still starts over, right? At the same moment.
I believe so.
Yeah. Yes. So basically everyone's like lives out their lives. It's like it's the end of Back to the Future 1. Where like everyone else, like the 7 Paragons are Marty McFly, they remember what happened, but everyone else has lived their lives as normal, and only the Paragons have to adjust.
Yes.
So that's the end of episode 4, and then you're right, they're like, oh, they won. What happens in episode 5? So in episode 5, we kind of check in on the world as it exists now. So that's Legends of Tomorrow, and this one also aired on January 14th. This is part 5. And so this one kicks off with Supergirl waking up and being like, wait, where am I? Everything's back. Alex is back. She's back on Earth, and realizes that, only the Paragons remember what happened. Everyone else has just been living their lives because they restarted the multiverse back at the dawn of time. And so they run into Jean, and Jean is able to give everyone a quick telepathic update on everything they missed, at least for the people who it matters, right?
Yeah.
We find out, though, that not everything happened in the same way. So there are changes to everything. So it is funny because that's what's kind of interesting is I at the end of Back to the Future 1, you just have to go, okay, it's a happy ending, and don't think too much more about it because there's a lot of things that are going to be different that Marty is going to be really screwed up trying to catch up on.
Yeah.
But because this is a TV show, they have to now play all that out in the different shows of how each of these people now have to adjust to the new circumstances of their worlds, which I think is really a cool storytelling thing. So, for example, Lex Luthor never died, and now he's the most beloved person on the planet.
And owner of the DEO.
And he owns the DEO. And I like that everyone loves him. Even Alex is like, he's the best guy.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Yeah, he's winning the Nobel Peace Prize, and
I love it when he walks out to receive the award, how he looks directly at Kara and just gives her that wink.
And he winks at her. Yep, he's
and
so
shit
good.
Like that, he's so good. He's
well,
the best Lex.
there was the moment like whatever last episode, 2 episodes ago, where he's like in containment and he's talking to Kara and Kate and he's flipping through that book, and there's just a moment where he like licks his finger and flips the page, and it's just awesome. Like, I don't know, it's just those little things.
Sticking out of that book is the page of the Book of Destiny that he changed.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. But it's stuff like that, and it's when you go back and watch it, it's there, but you don't know what it is. You don't even notice it. It's just a page sticking out of a book, but it's the page from the Book of Destiny that he stole.
That's awesome. So yeah, I think he's so good. So yeah, I love that it's like, oh, the world has changed and now we're the only ones who know anything different. And Sarah's the same way, and they're like, okay, we did it. We were able to respawn the universe, which again, we knew would happen one way or the other, which again, same thing about what's the planet where Clark and Lois and Kara's mom was?
Argon?
Argo City?
Argo City, yeah.
I think. So like I have to believe that's back. So Erica Durance isn't dead, I hope.
Hopefully not.
I want to assume that's back too. But basically we find out like now all the CW shows are on Earth 1. Or Earth Prime, right? They call it Earth Prime.
Yeah. Earth Prime.
Including Black Lightning.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're all Supergirl, Flash, Legends, Black Lightning, Batwoman, all on Earth Prime, which is cool. And they find this out because the Weather Witch is there. Flash and Supergirl both go after her. And it's like, wait, what is she doing on my Earth? It's like, what do you mean? I'm on my Earth. And then they find out they're on the same Earth. And so who points out?
Cameo.
Yeah, who points out that they're on the same Earth? But the one and only Marv Wolfman, who wrote the original comic and also helped co-write the crossover.
Yeah, his was great.
Oh god, that was such a great surprise. I didn't expect it.
Up. Can you make it out to Marv? And
yeah,
you're
so awesome.
So is it not weird to see us together? How often do we team up? And he's like forever?
All the time. Yeah, so cool. So that was an amazing cameo. I didn't expect it, and it was awesome. But yeah, that's how they find out that they're all on the same Earth. And they're like, well, great, we're all back. Everything seems like it's okay. So maybe Ollie made it. And they find out that no, Ollie, like not everybody got to come back, and Ollie is one of them. And I loved how Sarah, again, God, she's so good. But the way she was like holding out hope, and she's like, Diggle says something about like, oh, did he say Felicity was searching for him, or someone was searching for him?
Something like that, yeah.
And she goes, well, he's not Oliver, he's the Spectre, so she just can't find him in this form. She just can't find him in this form. And the way like Sarah was like so adamant was like really sweet,
Yeah, because she goes straight to Star City to the bunker.
Yeah. So I love that of like, God, how much hope they were holding out for Oliver. But they were like, well, maybe this was the only way. That was the sacrifice he had to make in order for all of this to be the way it is. So
Yeah.
And we get a little return of Bebo. Even Bebo gets to be part of the crossover.
That's because it's a Legends episode.
Because it's a Legends episode. I also like that you get oh god, my brain. Steel, what the heck is his name?
So many friggin' characters. Hang on. I was just about to bring up the Legends IMDb anyway. We have got Nate.
Yes.
Yes.
So Nate and Ava are there, and I like how even they're like, wait, was there another crossover? Did we not get invited?
Yeah, because they weren't in last year's.
Yeah. Well, again, there was a moment, I think it was in episode 2, where Sarah goes, I promised my crew we wouldn't have to do any more crossovers. But yeah, they were in it. And then, yeah, we get the big Bebo thing, which is hysterical. I loved when Ray takes the selfie with Supergirl and the Flash.
On his actual phone.
Yeah. And then the next day on Twitter, he posted it, and it was the selfie. It was so awesome.
It was great.
Oh, that was amazing. But yeah, and then Mick is doing the book signing.
Uh-huh.
And I love it when he goes, Rebecca, I'm just such a big fan. Wait, what should I call you? And he goes, Rebecca's fine.
I love what they've done with Mick. He's awesome.
He is. Everything he says cracks me up.
Yeah.
Like, I swear to God, every line of dialogue he delivers is hysterical.
Well, like after the Bebo thing, no, we go back to it, but like how they offer him champagne, and he's like, "What is this? Like alcohol?" So he puts his glass out and then just sculls it.
Yep. But anyway, so they realized that Bebo was just a distraction for some weird magician dude. I don't know who that was, but.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
But anyway, like then that's where you have the Barry and Sarah conversation that I mentioned earlier, which I thought was a really great scene. And then that scene ends with them getting attacked by these wraiths again. And they realize that, oh, again, we thought we won. Nope, we didn't. They're back. The Anti-Monitor and all of his shadow wraiths are back. And so they're like, well, crap. And now they're trying to hunt us down. They go to save Ryan Choi, and we end up in another big battle with whichever superheroes are available against the Anti-Monitor one last time. And did you see where this battle took place?
Was I supposed to?
Yes. It was on Perez Landing.
Okay.
Which is a nod to the amazing George Perez, who drew the book.
I didn't pick up on that.
So this is a random story, but when I worked at Disney in Florida, there was this friend of ours, and she is so sweet, but like kind of naive. And she knew that me and Scott loved comic books. And she was like, oh my God, you guys love comic books. Well, my friend, and oh my God, I can't remember her friend's name. I would have to look it up. But she would say, oh, my friend Linda or whatever. Her husband, he draws comic books. And we're like, oh, that's cool. God. And it was George Perez.
Did you guys lose your collective shit?
And because that's what she said, and we're like, oh, okay, that's nice. You know, a lot of people draw comic books like as a hobby or whatever. But no, we then later found out that her friend's husband was the great George Perez.
Were you like, can you arrange a meeting?
And we were like, what? We're like, he doesn't just draw comic books. He's a legend. And so, yeah, it was amazing. So her friend, George Perez's wife, worked with us at Disney. So we knew her. We just didn't know her as well. We knew her through the friend.
Okay.
And so technically, yeah, we worked with George Perez's wife at Disney World.
Did you ever do that thing, like that awkward thing? You're like, so... just found out who you're married to.
I never did, because I mean, maybe I should have, but yeah, like, isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
So anyway, I thought that was great. They gave him a little nod. So yeah, it's another big battle with the Anti-Monitor. More science-y gobbledygook of them deciding that the best way to defeat him is to make him shrink forever. So Ray, Ryan, and Nash are all working on this thing while everybody fights him. And I do like where he goes, yeah, they're like, will that work? And Ray's like, oh yeah, he'll go down into this, this tiny world. I call it the Atomverse. And Ryan Choi goes, I like the Microverse. And Ray goes, oh, that's better. There might be some copyright issues, but it's better. So anyway, the Flash comes. He gets the weird shrinking thing, and I like when they're like, "Oh, it's super sensitive, so please." And he just, and they're like, "Oh God, stop!" And they're like, "All right, that'll do."
He's like, so I just press here, and they freak out again. And Barry's like, "Okay."
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, settle down." And so yeah, they go back, and I think it's Kara who gets to deliver the final blow, right?
Throw it like a girl.
And she says, I always do. And yeah, he gets all huge, is like the giant Anti-Monitor that they're all fighting. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they manage to get it. He shrinks forever. And I think we finally have defeated the Anti-Monitor.
I would hope so.
Finally. And so then, yeah, we sort of get this epilogue where the president addresses the nation and gives credit to all the superheroes who saved them, and a little eulogy for Oliver Queen. In this, we see that Diggle, in this new rejiggered universe, Diggle not only has his son around, but he also has the daughter. Because remember, there was a moment after Flashpoint where his daughter became a son?
It was Flashpoint, yeah.
Yeah, it was Flashpoint, and so now he has both.
Uh-huh.
It is nice that through this, they're basically able to correct any missteps they may have made.
Yeah.
Of just going, okay, now he's got both. or whatever, They're able to just sort of do whatever they want. And that's where I think, or no, was it? Yeah, it's in this one where you get the glances of the rest of the different Earths. So that's where we see the Titans, Earth is back. Again, we see the Doom Patrols on a different Earth for whatever reason. We get a glimpse of Stargirl. Yeah, Stargirl and her crew. So it's Stargirl. Our Man was in there. There was a big robot.
That's Stripe, isn't it?
Is it? I don't know Stripe.
Yeah.
Who's Stripe?
Is it Stargirl and Stripe?
Sure.
I'm positive it is.
I trust you. I don't know much about Stargirl.
I only know because Jess read the comics back in the day, and she loves Stargirl.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I'm sure it's Stargirl and Stripe.
Well, and again, I thought it was interesting that they put Stargirl on a different Earth because she's going to be on the CW. Why wouldn't you have just put her on your Earth? But
well, that's the thing. But that was originally a DC Universe show, hey?
Yeah, true.
Because the way I took it is it was a DC Universe show that they're just also going to show on the CW.
Right, but again, I just feel like wouldn't you want to leave the option for crossovers?
Yeah. So yeah, it is Stripes the robot, and that's Luke Wilson.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, you get the little Stargirl cameo, you get Swamp Thing, you get Titans, you get Doom Patrol. Surprisingly, you get Green Lantern.
Yes.
So they used footage from the movie that very conveniently showed no one's face. It was just the large vistas. But I assume that's, well, number one, because Berlanti co-wrote the movie, but also they've got the big plans for the Green Lantern show for HBO Max, and I have to imagine that they were just sort of setting that up now.
And I'm sure you also know about what happened in the Arrow finale.
I heard something. I don't really know how it played out, but I know the gist.
Yeah.
I know that they teased Green Lantern.
Because there's been honestly, I think it was fan service and only fan service, but spoiler alert, at the end of the episode, because Diggle and his family say they're moving to Metropolis. And you see Diggle packing up a van and, green flash across the sky. And I turned to Jess and I'm like, oh, off. I was like, they're not. And then it's not a ship that lands, but it's a like a metal box that lands, and he picks it up and opens it, and it's a big green glowing, aura. So it was like, oh shit, they actually went there. But talking about ramifications with the Earth Prime and things that have changed with the rebirth, I will say, and again a bit of a spoiler alert because I know you don't watch Arrow. Moira never died, so Ollie's mum is alive, and Detective Lance never died.
Oh, interesting. I loved Moira. Oh my god, that episode where she died was heartbreaking.
That was season 2 of Arrow. I still think is one of the best comic book TV shows ever. It was so good.
Oh, I agree. It was amazing.
It never got better than season 2. But they also referenced, because the whole thing was what version of Laurel is around after Crisis, and because I've never been a huge Black Siren version of the character. I prefer the original. But yeah, they do this whole thing where people have come back and how do they word it? Like, people's lives have changed because, they've fixed imperfections and things like that. And there was a scene with Laurel and Detective Lance, and he's like, because she makes a point of saying, everyone's changed, all these things have happened, but I'm still here. Why am I still here? And he's like, because you didn't need fixing. So it is moving forward. Old Laurel is still dead. It is the Black Siren, like the Earth 2 version of Laurel. That is going to carry on.
Ah, okay. Interesting.
Yeah. I paraphrased a lot of that, but that's the gist of it is, yeah.
All right. That's fine. So was that everything we saw? Oh, and then of course we get the great shot of Brandon Routh.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting his final smile toward the camera, and now the logo is the yellow and red again. Because forgot to mention earlier on where it was black and red, and there was a very
Kingdom Come.
Yeah, the Kingdom Come, where he said, it's just I changed it to remind you that hope, even in the darkest time, hope shines through. And yeah, when we get that last glimpse of him again, now it's the yellow and red. So
it's still the Kingdom Come logo, like the style, but yeah, it's changed back to the yellow.
Well, yeah, and what we found out after the fact is it was black and red, and at the last minute in post-production they recolored it.
Oh, did they? I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was a last minute decision because somebody asked Mark Guggenheim, or someone said, "Hey, can we get a shot of him in the suit with the yellow logo?" And he goes, "That was done in post, so no."
Okay.
But I mean, because it is that, like, you can kind of imply that maybe on Earth 96, maybe the Joker didn't gas the planet. Maybe.
Yeah, actually, good point.
They could sort of undo whatever they want now. So, Kate Bosworth, cross your fingers and your toes. Maybe your day has come.
Your weird, two-colored-eyed, terrible Lois Lane.
The most boring Lois Lane ever. But yeah, so we got that, and then I thought that was going to be the end. Oh, the other thing is during that whole sequence, you get, shall we call it, a reprise of the narration from the very beginning. But in the very beginning, it was the Monitor, but in this version, it was Ollie, which was a really nice touch.
Yeah, I liked that.
Yeah, it was great. And so then we cut back, and we've got our heroes, and they are saying one last goodbye to Ollie. I will say, like, if you're Stephen Amell, if you're Oliver Queen, I mean, they really do give him his due in these 5 episodes. Like, this is not a death that goes by quickly and is quickly forgotten. They give it all the weight and all of the reverence that it deserves. So,
and you see the last episode of Arrow, man. Holy shit! It's like that and some.
It's a hell of a goodbye. So yeah, they've got his costume on display. They've got the arrow with like the eternal flame, which is a really nice touch. They're saying goodbye, and I also love the moment when Black Lightning goes, "Listen, I never met the guy, but it just seems like he was a really good dude." And he did this really sweet little, like, just kind of punch on the Flash's shoulder that I thought was really cool. Again, I like the fact that they just met 1 or 2 episodes ago. I already love the relationship between them.
Black Lightning is a show I watched the first season because over here it's a Netflix show. So I watched the first season, but I haven't watched anything after that. Like, it's kind of one of those things like, oh, I should probably catch up, but there's just so many things to watch these days.
Yeah, no, I feel you.
And it's not that I didn't like the first season. It's just one of those ones I just haven't gotten around to catching up.
Yeah. I loved season 1, and then I watched a little bit of season 2, but yeah, it's just a lot to keep up on. But God, he's so good. And again, like, yeah, he and Grant Gustin already have awesome chemistry. I think that was great. So
I loved it when they asked about, he's like, how often does the world nearly come to an end? And they kind of all do the awkward goo. And he's just like, oh, it's like that.
And then Kate, great. She's like, don't worry, I was the new kid last year.
Yeah.
I thought that was, yeah, you're right. That's awesome. Because, yeah, they're walking away and he's like, someone says, oh, why are we in a condemned building? He goes, oh, it's not a condemned building. It's a Star Labs research facility that nobody knows about. And I think it could be helpful, if we ever need to get together again. And that's when he says, yeah, like, how often does this happen? And they're all like, oh, you'd be surprised, which is awesome. But I do like when Superman goes, great idea, Barry. And Barry gets all flustered and he's like, thanks, Superman.
He almost does the Superman stance as well. Like, he kind of puts his hands on his hips and tries to look heroic.
I love that. I love that he has a little crush on Superman. It's so funny. And then he unveils the big table.
Mm-hmm.
So this I did not see coming. This was a great surprise that never got spoiled. But yeah, like the reveal of the Justice League table. And so essentially the Paragon, more or less, the Paragons essentially become the Justice League, plus Black Lightning and this Superman, not Brandon Routh Superman. So now we have
Adam.
And no Adam.
Because he wasn't a Paragon anyway.
He wasn't
Sorry,
a Paragon.
mistake.
Yeah.
No.
So we have essentially the 7 of this Justice League, which is Superman, the Flash, Batwoman, Supergirl, White Canary, Black Lightning, and Martian Manhunter.
Yes, and they've also got the empty seat for Oliver.
And then a seat for Oliver. Which is, I think that's a great lineup. It's not the classic Justice League, but it's still a pretty damn good Justice League lineup.
You're never going to get that on TV. Like, it's just not going to happen.
But, again, you still got Superman, Supergirl, and the Flash. Those are already, like, would be pretty big in the Justice League anyway, And then Batwoman filling the Batman slot makes sense. Black Lightning makes some sense. Martian Manhunter is another one who would be, So like it doesn't, I'd read a comic with that lineup for Justice League.
Yeah.
I also got to call out. Sorry if this is a Sarah Lance love fest, but I love the fact that White Canary isn't even a real character in the comics.
No.
They made her up because they loved Katie Lotz so much.
Yeah, and they killed her.
And they killed her, but they loved her so much, they brought her back. They gave her her own superhero persona of White Canary. They essentially gave her her own show. She is the lead of Legends. She is the captain of Legends. And she has owned that character so well that now she is a founding member of this version of the Justice League. Mm-hmm. I think that's so cool. It's amazing.
She's awesome.
She's so good.
My only criticism, and I know it again, it would be a budgetary thing, but I really want them to do something with the interior of that warehouse. Oh,
they will. They will. Right now, it's still empty.
Weird with like the two there's random cars parked in there, and like it looks like an abandoned warehouse. But when they show it on the outside, it looks like the Hall of Justice. Like.
Oh yeah.
But it just looks so. The outside and the inside look so different to each other.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I know. But I feel like they absolutely will. Like, now that they have it, I think that the next time you see it, it will be a little more finished. Because yes, right now it looks like a big empty warehouse.
It's been used a few times.
Well, yeah, because that's where they were during the
invasion.
Invasion, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I get your complaint, but I just was like, oh, they'll get there. It's fine.
Oh yeah, just make it look more like the bunker or something. I don't know. Yeah. Redress the bunker and just say it's the inside of the. Now I don't know, but yeah, they need to do something with that. It just looks weird.
Well, they will. But yeah, then you get a little tease for Gleek along with the Super Friends theme.
Yes, which is the way to end it was the Super Friends theme, which I thought was really cool.
That's amazing. So yeah, so they do think that they will bring in Gleek and the Wonder Twins. They just haven't decided where. At least that's the last I heard. Is they were like, yeah, we know we want to do it. We just don't know where.
Yeah.
Great, can't wait.
Having characters like the Wonder Twins would be very CW. You'd imagine, because I mean, and being CW, and this isn't a criticism, don't read this the wrong way, but I'm sure one of them will be gay or trans or something. Like they'll put their spin on it to sort of update it for the modern day.
Right. I wouldn't be surprised. And then we get the reveal of the outside of the building, which it looks just like the Hall of Justice, which is awesome. All right. And that is it. Woo, we went through it. Go us. I'm so proud of us.
I love that.
God, why are we so sweet? So, closing thoughts of Crisis on Infinite Earths.
I look similar to what I said at the start in the spoiler-free reaction. Like, the fact that they had this idea and they were able to pull it off. I mean, as we said, it's got some minor flaws. It's a lot to fit in, but overall they pulled it off and they did it really, really well. And like I said before, when has this ever happened in television before?
Mm-hmm.
Something of this magnitude. And yeah, as a DC fan, it's great. Like, I love the TV universe. I just wish the cinematic universe would come together as well as this one has, because that would be amazing. But it was a hell of an achievement. They did it so well, and it's something that I'll revisit every year or two. I would say I'll sit down and watch them all together over a day or a couple of nights or something, and enjoy it for what it is, which is the biggest assembly of DC heroes that we've ever seen in live action before. It's pretty awesome.
That's so true. It is. It's the biggest, as you said, the biggest assembly of DC heroes in live action. It's really impressive. I mean, you think about how much is here and how many characters we get to see here, and oh man, it's a lot. So it was a hefty thing to attempt. I think they did it very well, even if they didn't perfect it all, and I called some of those things out as we discussed it, but still, man, it's super entertaining, and there's a lot of great stuff in here, and it's a hell of an accomplishment. So kudos to them. I just wonder, what are they going to do next year? Because last year they teased this. This year they didn't really tease. I mean, unless the tease is Super Friends, unless that's what they do next year.
I have no idea, because remember next year too, like we'll have Stargirl.
Mm-hmm.
We should have the Superman and Lois show by then. I mean, there's a few things that they can bring in, but it's one of those things too. Like, after kind of like the Avengers after Endgame, it's like, well, there's not going to be another Avengers movie for a while. Like, do they take next year off and let the shows, breathe on their own a bit more and build to something and then bring it back in another year or two?
Mm-hmm. True.
But it has kind of become a tradition now, hasn't it? Like pre-Christmas tradition.
Yeah, they will do something, because you're right. It is tradition. So,
but yeah, just what it is, I don't know.
Yeah,
but
I just don't know what it'll be, but that's okay. Like, I'm excited to see it, whatever it is, because these have been something to look forward to every year.
Yeah, no, definitely agree there.
All right. Fun stuff. Crisis on Infinite Earths. 5 hours of television, but without commercials. It's only 42 minutes each, which means it's 210 minutes. 3.5 hours. So that's not that bad.
It's about the length of Avengers.
Yeah. So when you look at it that way, it's not so bad. So very cool. It was fun. I'm glad we finally got to do this. It is a good time. And yeah, I like these crossovers a lot. I think, again, if they were more like organized in my library, I feel like I would revisit them more often. Because
Yeah.
otherwise I don't think about it. I don't think, oh, I should watch Invasion. Let me go find those episodes. Whereas if I was flipping through and Invasion was just a thing, I'd go, oh, that's fun. Let me check that out.
Yeah.
But cool. Well, very cool. Thanks for doing this, Brendan.
That's okay.
I think I'm going to skip Wayne Manor Mailbox because we are already at 2.5 hours. So
It's a long one.
this is a long one. I don't want to make it any longer. Wayne Manor Mailbox will just have to wait. I'll make Jamie do that with me sometime later this week.
That's okay. I'm sure there'll be lots of correspondence about Battinson and probably Birds of Prey.
Yeah, it's true. There's a lot going on. So, yep, Wayne Manor Mailbox will wait till next time. So that's where we'll wrap up this one. Brendan, thanks for being my CW correspondent down under.
Not a problem. We are the best of super friends, aren't we?
We are. We are the Wonder Twins.
Is Jamie Gleek?
Jamie is definitely Gleek.
Well, he does love monkeys.
He loves monkeys. He's so into them.
Yeah, he's Gleek. We've decided.
So yeah, I'm okay with being form of an ice cannon.
I don't know what I'd be. Form of atomic kangaroo.
There you go.
It was like Ice Menorah or something from the Wonder Twins.
Yeah.
Whatever the hell that is.
All right. Well, tell our friends where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Loey007.
There you go. I already told you where to find me, so do that. But more importantly, follow the show. And thank you as always for joining us for the show. Thank you for downloading it. Please do subscribe so you never miss an episode. What are we going to do next time? I don't know. It'll be a surprise. So subscribe. You don't want to miss that. But most importantly, as Michael Keaton's Batman says, I want you to tell all your friends about me. Visit holybatcast.com, follow the show on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Just search for Holy BatCast. And even though we did not open the Wayne Manor mailbox this time, we will do that next time. So if you've got a message, you can send that to holybatcast@rf4rm.com. So that will do it for this crisis-filled episode. On behalf of Brendan, I've been Andy, and we will see you next time. Same bat time, same bat channel. In this case, should it be like same Sarah Lance time, same Sarah Lance channel? I love you, Katie Lots. Call me.
Holy BatCast is brought to you by real fans for real movies. Remember, the thoughts and opinions shared by the participants are theirs and theirs alone, and do not represent the companies or organizations they happen to work for.
In the end, there was only one. A single black infinitude. Then the infinitude found release. And finally, the darkness broke, filling it with life. With the multiverse. Every existence multiplied by possibility. And spread out before space and time in infinite measure. Civilizations rose and fell. And rose again across reality's grasping expanse. Life, a precious gift, persevering in the face of every obstacle. Until, finally, the Age of Heroes was born.